You bitch. You worthless, gutter trash thief. That was Eleanor, my husband's mother. Her voice, usually so controlled, so perfectly modulated for the benefit of her bridge club friends, was now a ragged, venomous thing. She stood over me, a queen surveying a peasant, her face a mask of theatrical fury. My husband, Leo, stood beside her, his face pale, his eyes wide with a confusion that was slowly hardening into suspicion. And his father, Arthur, just watched from the doorway, a silent, grim-faced statue. The object of their rage sat in the middle of the floor, catching the morning light. A single, delicate gold ring, my ring, a ring that had, moments ago, been discovered tucked away in the bottom of my newborn son's diaper bag. A ring that I had never, not once, put there. I didn't. My voice was a useless whisper, swallowed by the cavernous silence of their perfect living room. Don't you dare lie to me. After everything we've done for you, letting you into this family, and this is how you repay us? Stealing from me? Trying to make me look like a fool? Leo finally spoke, his voice cracking. Margaret, just explain. Why was it in your bag? And I looked at him, my Leo, the man I loved, the man whose child I held in my arms just yesterday, whispering promises of a life filled with love and safety. And in his eyes, I didn't see trust. I didn't see the man who'd sworn to stand by me. I saw the shadow of his mother. I saw doubt, and in that moment, I knew. My marriage wasn't just breaking, it had already been broken. It was a ghost, and I was the only one who hadn't realized it. Have you ever had a moment like that? A moment so sharp, so clear, that it slices your life into two distinct parts, the before and the after. For me, the before. The before began on what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, our wedding day. The piano music shifts, becoming warmer, more hopeful, but with a lingering thread of melancholy. It was a picture-perfect New England autumn wedding, the kind you see in magazines. The maple trees surrounding the old town hall were on fire with reds and golds. Everyone said how wonderful it all was, how handsome Leo looked, the town's golden boy, the only son of Arthur and Eleanor Vance, one of Maple Creek's most respected families. Everyone said how lucky I was. The whispers started almost immediately, of course. In a town this small, whispers are the local currency. I could hear them from the corner table, where Eleanor's friends were gathered, their voices like the rustling of dry leaves. Look at that, would you? Eleanor and Arthur gave them the down payment for a house. A huge check. My word, and that necklace? That was Eleanor's grandmother's. To think, it's going to her. Well, she certainly hit the jackpot, didn't she? Marrying into the Vance family. Then, a lower, sharper voice cut through the praise. It belonged to Brenda, who lived next door to the Vances, and considered herself the town's foremost authority on everything. Oh, it's all for show, darling. You think Eleanor is happy about this? Please. She's been grooming Chloe Abernathy for Leo since they were in kindergarten. Really. I thought she was fond of. Margaret, fond? Don't be naive. Eleanor Vance is the most difficult woman in this county. She only agreed to this because Leo forced her hand, put them in an impossible position. Besides, Brenda leaned in, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial hiss. I hear the bride is, already expecting. A round of knowing hums and nods. Aha, that explains it. Their chatter only stopped when a man from another table, one of their husbands, leaned over. Ladies, for God's sake, enjoy the salmon. Toast the happy couple. You act like you haven't seen each other in a decade. They offered him tight, plastic smiles, and fell silent for a moment. Later, Arthur, my new father-in-law, came by their table, raising his glass. Today, my son got married. As a father, I feel like a great responsibility has been fulfilled. Please, celebrate with us. The whole day was like that. A beautiful, expensive, perfectly staged play. A new family was being built, they said. A young woman was starting her life. That young woman was me, Margaret, and the man I was building it with was Leo. On the surface, Leo was perfect. The only son, doted on, with a solid, respectable career as a physician's assistant lined up for him right here in town. His only flaw, if you could call it that, was that he listened to his mother, always. Marrying me was the one and only time he had ever truly gone against her wishes. And even that, it wasn't some grand, defiant gesture. He'd simply maneuvered them into a corner they couldn't get out of. He'd presented me as a fact, not a choice. I remember when we first met, he was in his final year at Boston College. This bright-eyed kid from a small town, still a little lost in the big city. I was working double shifts at a diner just off campus, trying to send money back home. He'd come in, always sitting at the same booth, ordering the same black coffee, and just watching me. He eventually learned about my situation. My father, his health failing from diabetes and arthritis. My mother, trying to hold our tiny family farm together on her own. Me, dropping out of school to help, to make sure my younger brother could stay in. He didn't see me as a charity case. He saw me as strong, and I, who had always felt so small and insecure, started to believe him. He was so genuine, so persistent. After months of him asking, I finally agreed to a date. We fell in love over 3 years of shared dreams and cheap coffee. By the time he was ready to graduate, his parents had already secured him the PA position at the local clinic. He was set. His future was a straight, clear line, and he wanted me on it with him. I think it's time, Maggie, he said one night, holding me close in his tiny apartment. I think we're ready to, make it official. I stiffened, the old fear creeping back in. Leo, my family, my background, I'm not what they're expecting. I'm clumsy, I'm not educated. What if they don't like me? Hey, he tilted my chin up, forcing me to look at him. Stop that. You're amazing. And this isn't the 1,950 seconds. Nobody cares about that marrying in your circle crap anymore. What matters is that I love you. And I believe our love is strong enough for anything. Trust me. And I did. Of course, I did. He was the only man I'd ever trusted. So, I nodded. I agreed. The day he graduated was the day he planned to take me home to meet them. That evening, he called his mother. I could hear her excited voice through the phone. Leo, my boy, I'm so proud of you. Thanks, Mom. I'm heading back to Maple Creek tomorrow, after the ceremony. Oh, already? Why don't you stay in the city for a few days? Celebrate with your friends. Nah, he laughed. Been in this city for 4 years. I've had enough. I just want to come home, show you and Dad this diploma you worked so hard for. She was practically purring with pride. That's my boy, always thinking of his parents. We'll cook all your favorites. He took a breath, seizing the moment. And Mom, I'm bringing my girlfriend home with me. There was a sudden pause on the line. Girlfriend? What girlfriend? Leo, a boy or a girl? Just then, one of his friends banged on the door. Leo, you coming? The whole class is heading to the pub. Let's go, man. You're holding us up. Leo glanced at the clock. Go on without me. I'll catch up. He turned back to the phone, wrapping things up quickly. Listen, Mom, I gotta go. I'll see you tomorrow. Me and my friend. We'll be there in the afternoon. And he hung up. He hung up before she could get an answer. She was left hanging, wondering. I heard later she turned to his father and said, "He's bringing a friend home. I just invited Chloe Abernathy over for dinner tomorrow." Arthur, ever the cautious one, apparently just grunted. "Eleanor, maybe you should slow down. Don't rush things." The next day, we drove into Maple Creek. The afternoon sun was soft, casting a golden glow over the fields of corn waiting to be harvested. It was beautiful, poetic even, but as we got closer, as we turned onto the long driveway leading to his house, a knot of pure ice formed in my stomach. I grabbed his arm. "Leo, I'm scared." "Hey, what is there to be scared of? Just be yourself. Relax. I'm right here with you." I took a deep breath, trying to calm the frantic beating of my heart, and followed him to the front door. He didn't even knock. He just pushed it open and yelled, "Mom! Dad! I'm home!" Eleanor came rushing out from the kitchen, wiping her hands on an apron, a huge smile on her face. Arthur was right behind her. Then they saw me, standing behind Leo, clutching a bag of apples like a shield. Eleanor's smile didn't vanish. It just froze. It became a brittle, polite thing that didn't reach her eyes. Arthur's face remained neutral, but I saw a flicker of something. Surprise? Disappointment? I found my voice. "Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Vance. It's a pleasure to meet you." Leo, oblivious, beamed. "This is Margaret, my girlfriend." Eleanor's response was clipped, cold. "Hello." Arthur was more gracious. Come in, you two. You must be tired from the drive. Sit down, rest a while." From that first moment, I felt it, a chill that had nothing to do with the autumn air. I was not welcome here, but I couldn't just turn and run, so I followed them into the living room, a room so perfectly decorated it felt more like a museum than a home. Arthur poured tea while Eleanor sat opposite me, her eyes scanning me from head to toe, a silent, meticulous appraisal. "So, Margaret," Arthur began, his voice gentle but probing, "where is your family from?" "I'm from Eastbrook, sir," I answered, my voice trembling slightly. "Over in the next county." He nodded slowly. "Eastbrook. That's a good 30 miles from here, isn't it?" "Yes, sir." "And how long have you two known each other?" This time, Leo jumped in, a little too brightly. "We met my freshman year, Dad. Been together for 3 years now." It was as if Arthur was interrogating a suspect, and Leo was trying to protect me. But the real interrogation hadn't even started. That was Eleanor's domain. She leaned forward, her voice sharp. "How many siblings do you have? What do your parents do for a living?" The questions were like tiny, sharp pebbles being thrown at me. I flinched. My father has diabetes and severe arthritis. He hasn't been able to work for a few years. My mother runs our small family farm, and I have a younger brother, 5 years younger than me. Eleanor let out a long, deliberate sigh, a sound of pure, unadulterated disappointment. "And your profession? Did you attend college?" The air was thick with judgment. Before I could answer, Leo cut in, his voice tight with frustration. "Mom, what is this? An inquisition?" She snapped her head towards him, her eyes flashing. "Is it wrong for me to want to know about the woman my son is dating? I need to know who she is, where she comes from. Or am I supposed to just welcome any stray off the street into my home to be my daughter-in-law?" Leo's face flushed with anger. I felt small enough to disappear into the plush sofa cushions. I had to answer. I had to say something. My voice was barely a whisper. I graduated from high school. Then I moved to the city to work as a waitress at a diner. It's owned by a distant relative. The look she gave me. Have you ever been looked at as if you were something unpleasant stuck to the bottom of someone's shoe? That was it. Her eyes said everything her mouth didn't have to. You are not good enough. You will never be good enough. The silence was so heavy, it felt like we were all drowning. And then a cheerful, sing-song voice from the doorway shattered the tension. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Vance. I'm here. Eleanor's face transformed. The icy mask melted away, replaced by a radiant, genuine smile. Chloe, darling, you're here. I was hoping you'd come. She practically leaped from her chair to embrace the girl standing there. Arthur, too, was all smiles. Come in, Chloe. Come on in. Chloe bounced into the room, a picture of effortless, small-town grace. She placed a basket of fruit on the coffee table. A little something for you both. Then her eyes landed on Leo, and she squealed with delight. Leo, you're back. Oh, your parents have missed you so much. Every time I came over, they were talking about you. I was getting so excited to see you myself. Leo, ever the gentleman, smiled politely. Hey, Chloe. Yeah, I just got back. He gestured towards me. This is my girlfriend, Margaret. For a split second, I saw a flash of raw fury in Chloe's eyes. But it was gone as quickly as it came, replaced by a dazzlingly sweet smile. Oh, wow. Hi, Margaret. It's so nice to meet you. You're so pretty. She turned back to Leo with a playful pout. So, this is why you never told me you had a girlfriend. Keeping secrets, huh? I guess you could say I'm his childhood sweetheart. Or at least, that's what our parents always hoped. I just nodded, unable to speak. Eleanor clapped her hands together. All right, everyone. Let's not just sit here. I'll go get dinner started. It'll be ready in a jiffy. Chloe immediately jumped up. Oh, let me help, Mrs. Vance. I can't let you do all the work. Eleanor beamed, patting Chloe's arm. You see? Beautiful inside and out. Whoever gets you for a daughter-in-law will be the luckiest family in the world. I stood up, feeling I had to do something. Ma'am, Mrs. Vance, let me help too. The warmth in Eleanor's face vanished as she looked at me. Her voice was laced with condescension. Well, I suppose you can come help. After all that time working in a diner, you must know a thing or two, right? My face burned with humiliation as I followed her into the kitchen. And the first thing I saw was Leo, my Leo, taking Chloe's hand, leading her around the kitchen, his voice happy and familiar. The spices are over here. The knives are in this drawer. I was invisible, a ghost in my own life. They put me in a corner to fry the chicken and boil the potatoes. On the other side of the kitchen, Eleanor and Chloe laughed and chatted as they prepared a complicated salad, occasionally glancing over at me before quickly looking away. My mind was a chaotic storm of anxiety and confusion. This place felt alien, suffocating. The one person I wanted to see, the one person who was supposed to be my anchor, had disappeared with his father to run some urgent errand. Dinner was an exercise in torture. Eleanor placed a large piece of chicken on Chloe's plate. This is from our own hens. You can taste the difference, can't you? So much work, but worth it. Leo, seeing my empty plate, put a spring roll on it. Here, Maggie, try this. It's your favorite. I managed a weak smile as he did. But then Eleanor's voice cut in again, directed at Chloe. My goodness, you are so clever. Even the little radish flower you made for the salad is exquisite. Honestly, Chloe, if I had a daughter-in-law as pretty, as sweet, and as talented as you, I'd be the happiest mother in the world. The spring roll turned to ash in my mouth. I couldn't swallow. Arthur, to his credit, seemed to feel a shred of pity. Well, you never know what fate has in store. It's not about what you want, Eleanor, Chloe replied, her voice sickeningly sweet. Oh, you shouldn't say that, Mr. Vance. I believe in fate. I just hope my future husband is a good man. His profession doesn't matter to me at all. Her eyes flickered towards me as she said it, a clear, targeted strike. The meal dragged on, each moment more awkward than the last. Arthur tried to fill the silence. It's funny, isn't it? You two knew each other your whole lives. Summer camps, volunteer work, yet you turned out so different. One a teacher, the other a doctor. He meant P.A. But doctor sounded better. Eleanor jumped on the opening. You have 2 more years of your teaching degree, right, Chloe? Work hard. Get that stable career. It's so important for a woman to have a good profession. Every word was a confirmation. I wasn't liked. I was tolerated, and not even barely. I had prepared myself for disapproval, but the reality of it, the cold, relentless wave of it, was a physical ache in my chest. Eleanor's glowing affection for Chloe wasn't just a glass of cold water in my face. It was a tidal wave. Finally, dinner was over. Chloe and I made a clumsy show of fighting over who would do the dishes, while Eleanor sat at the table, methodically cutting up the fruit Chloe had brought. She found a bruised spot on an apple and carved it out with surgical precision, a look of deep distaste on her face. When the kitchen was clean, we were all summoned back to the living room for fruit. Eleanor handed a perfectly sliced pear to Chloe. So sweet. You always pick the best ones, dear. The rest of us ate in silence. I think even Arthur was embarrassed by his wife's transparent, sycophantic display. Leo knew I was unhappy. I could feel him shifting uncomfortably beside me, but he was a good son. He had been raised not to make waves, not to challenge his parents. He probably thought they would eventually come around. He loved me, after all, and they loved him. How could they not accept the person who made their precious son happy? He was so naive. When it was time to leave, Leo stood up. Mom, Dad, we should get going. It's over an hour's drive back to Margaret's place. I don't want her getting home too late. Eleanor's face soured instantly. What about Chloe? She's a young woman too. You can't let her go home by herself in the dark. I won't have it. Leo, you drive her home first. Before Leo could answer, Chloe jumped in, playing the martyr perfectly. Oh no, Mrs. Vance, it's fine. I can get home myself. I wouldn't want to trouble Leo. He'd have to drive me home, then drive all the way back to take Margaret home. He wouldn't get back until midnight. I'd be so worried about him. Eleanor cooed. Oh, you thoughtful girl. But I'd be worried about you. It's not safe. Leo, the problem solver, came up with a logical solution. Chloe, you drove here, right? Okay. You take your car, and I'll follow you in mine with Margaret. I'll make sure you get home safe, and then from your place, it's not that far to the county line. It's settled. Chloe's face fell for a moment, a flicker of disappointment. But then you'd be taking a detour, adding miles to your trip just for me. It's the best solution, Leo said, his tone final. There was no arguing. On the road, Chloe's car in front of us, I felt a simmering rage. She was a master performer. I could see her in her rearview mirror, deliberately slowing down, weaving just a little, making it impossible for Leo to do anything but focus on the road. When I tried to lean my head on his shoulder, she'd brake suddenly, forcing us apart. It was a petty, childish game, but it was effective. Some people, they wear their malice on their sleeve. But people like her, the ones who hide it behind a sweet smile and kind words, they are the truly dangerous ones. When we reached her driveway, she slowed to a stop, rolling down her window. "I'm home." "Thanks, Leo. You two get home safe. Come visit again soon, okay?" She waved, a perfect little princess, before disappearing into her perfectly lit house. Leo sped up, leaving her behind. Only then did I dare to speak. "Leo, they don't like me. Your mother. She wants you to be with Chloe." He sighed, reaching for my hand. "You're overthinking it. I've known Chloe my whole life. Our families are close. Of course my parents are fond of her. They've only just met you. They just need time to get to know you. And what if they don't?" I pressed, my voice shaking. "What if they never accept me?" His grip on my hand tightened. His voice was firm, resolute. "Then I will make them. I will make them accept you, and I will make them love you. Just trust me, Maggie." I fell silent, but my heart was a tangled mess of fear and love. I loved him so much, but his parents, if he had to force them, would they ever truly be happy? If I gave him up, a man I had loved for 3 years, I knew I would break, but I couldn't blame them, not really. In their eyes, I was nothing. A poor girl from the wrong side of the tracks, unworthy of their perfect son. When we got to my little house, I stopped him at the door. "It's late. You should head back." He pulled me into a hug, kissing my forehead. "I'll call you, and I'll come up this weekend. I promise." "Okay." I watched his taillights disappear into the starry night. He wasn't worried. He had this unshakable faith that everything would work out. But I knew better. I knew this was just the beginning. When he got home, even though it was late, his parents were waiting for him in the living room, their faces grim. He knew this was it, the real conversation. "Sit down, son," Arthur said, his voice heavy. "We need to talk." Eleanor didn't wait. She went straight for the kill. "You need to end it with that girl. Her name is Margaret, right? You need to end it. You are not compatible. We do not approve of her as a daughter-in-law for this family." Leo was stunned, but he stood his ground. "We've been in love for years. Our feelings are deep. You can't just tell me to break it off. She's a good person, Mom. I think we're perfect for each other." Eleanor shook her head, a look of disgust on her face. "Good? I don't care if she's good. I care that she is not suitable. She has no education, no career, no family background to speak of. I did not raise you, send you to the best schools, just for you to throw it all away on a girl like that. What about Chloe? All those years you've known her. That means nothing compared to this. This girl you've known for 3 years. This isn't about who I've known longer." Leo's voice rose, a rare sign of defiance. "I see Chloe as a sister, that's it. It would never be anything more. All I'm asking is that you give Margaret a chance. If you just got to know her, you'd see that education and a career aren't the only things that matter. A kind heart, a good character, that's what makes a good wife, Mom." His words were met with a wall of silence. Finally, Arthur spoke. "Son, we just want what's best for you. I'm begging you," Leo pleaded. "Please, just this once, let me make my own decision. Let me choose my own life." That's when Eleanor delivered the final blow. Her voice was ice. "If you choose her, then you are no longer my son. Consider the last 20-something years of my life a waste. Consider me dead." Leo froze, the fight draining out of him. "Mom, don't say that. Please." Be calm." She stood up, her final ultimatum hanging in the air. "I have said what I needed to say. The choice is yours." He was trapped. He didn't want to hurt his mother, but he swore he would never lose me. He was trapped. A 20-something-year-old man, a college graduate with a promising career, trapped in his childhood bedroom by the invisible chains of filial duty. He didn't want to hurt her, but he couldn't lose me. He just couldn't. Meanwhile, 100 miles away, I was in my own kind of prison. The prison of a broken heart. Have you ever tried to hide a broken heart from the one person who can read you like a book? It's impossible. My mother, Sarah, saw it the moment I walked through the door. She didn't say anything at first. She just watched me move through our small, familiar kitchen like a ghost. My smile never quite reaching my eyes. Finally, she couldn't stand it anymore. She was sitting at the worn wooden table, her hands, chapped and strong from a lifetime of farm work, wrapped around a mug of tea. "You've been quiet since you got back from his parents' house," she said gently. "Something's wrong. The dam broke." I sat down opposite her, the tears I'd been holding back finally spilling over. "Oh, Mom," I sobbed. "They hate me. His mother. She made it so clear. I'm not what they want for him." I told her everything about Eleanor's coldness, about the constant, glowing comparisons to Chloe, about the feeling of being judged and dismissed before I'd even spoken a word. She listened patiently, her expression growing more and more somber. When I was finished, she reached across the table and took my hand. "Margaret, listen to me," she said, her voice filled with a quiet, sad wisdom. "My advice? You should think about this. Really think. If you push this, if you force your way into a family that doesn't want you, you will be the one who suffers. A marriage isn't just about two people. If you can let go, maybe you should. It will save you a lifetime of heartache." Her words were a knife in my gut because I knew they were true, but the thought of letting go of Leo— "I can't," I whispered, my voice thick with despair. "Mom, I love him. I know you do, sweetie. And I know he loves you. But love can't survive in a war zone. And that's what your life will be. You will be the one fighting all the battles. You will be the one who gets hurt." I just shook my head, fresh tears blurring her kind face. "I know." Back in Maple Creek, Leo was living like a fugitive in his own home. He was determined to keep his promise to visit me that weekend, but he couldn't let his parents know. He'd call me from his bedroom with the door locked, his voice a low whisper, terrified of his mother's footsteps in the hall. It was like we were criminals, stealing moments of connection. The Friday before he was supposed to come, he called to confirm. "I'll be there tomorrow morning, Maggie. Have you told your mom?" I hesitated. "My family's fine with it, Leo, but are you sure about this? Are your parents okay with you coming?" "I'm a grown man," he insisted, though he didn't sound like one. He sounded like a boy trying to convince himself. "Okay," I said softly. "Then I'll see you tomorrow. I've missed you so much. I love you, Maggie. I love you too." I hung up, a flutter of hope warring with a deep sense of dread. I wanted to believe it would be okay. I had to, but on the other side of that call, Eleanor had been listening. Standing just outside his bedroom door, she'd heard enough. She burst into the room, her face a thundercloud. "Were you just talking to that girl?" she demanded, her voice shaking with rage. "After everything I said to you? You're still talking to her? Mom, calm down. Don't you tell me to calm down. I am your mother. I told you to end it." "I'm an adult," Leo said, his voice strained. "Let me make my own decisions. Just give us a chance. Give us time, please." Eleanor's eyes narrowed. "Time? You think this is a game? You think I have time to play these little games with you? The job I got for you, the one you're so excited to start, that didn't just fall out of the sky, you foolish boy. Leo looked confused. What are you talking about? Dr. Abernathy, Chloe's father. He's the chief of staff at the clinic. It took one phone call from him to get you that position. One phone call that I asked him to make, as a favor. The color drained from Leo's face. He was speechless. You have an appointment tomorrow, she continued, pressing her advantage. You and your father are going to the Abernathys' house to properly thank him. You owe him that respect. But I have plans tomorrow, Leo stammered, avoiding my name. Can't it be another day? No, she snapped. He's only home on the weekends. Are you going to throw away this opportunity? Are you going to insult the man who handed you your career on a silver platter, all for that? That waitress? You are a fool, Leo. A blind fool. You are choosing dirt over gold. He just stood there, stunned into silence. He knew what she was doing. She was tightening the leash, reminding him who held all the power. He didn't argue further. He just let her storm out, leaving him in the suffocating silence of his room. The next morning, he made his choice. He chose me. When I saw his car pull up the long, dusty lane to our farmhouse, my heart leaped. He came. Despite everything, he came. My father, Thomas, was in his armchair by the window, his breath coming in ragged, difficult gasps. My mother rushed to his side, giving him his medication. I'm here, Thomas. I'm here. It was into this scene that Leo walked. He saw it all in one glance. The worn-out furniture, the peeling paint on the walls, the lingering scent of sickness and struggle. But he also saw the love, the care, the way my mother's hand rested on my father's shoulder, the neat rows of marigolds I'd planted along the walkway. Our home was poor, but it was not without dignity. He paused for a moment on the doorstep, a look of something I couldn't quite decipher on his face. Pity, sadness. Then he stepped inside. Mr. and Mrs. Miller, he said, his voice clear and respectful. I'm Leo Vance, Margaret's boyfriend. I hope my dropping in isn't an inconvenience. My father, still catching his breath, managed a weak nod. My mother smiled warmly. Leo, of course not. Margaret told us you might be coming. Please, come in. She's just out back, feeding the chickens. He placed a box of pastries on the table. A small gift for you both. Oh, you shouldn't have, my mother said, waving a hand. Your visit is gift enough. She then raised her voice. Margaret, your young man is here. Put a kettle on, would you? I came in from the back, my cheeks flushed, a genuine smile on my face for the first time in days. Seeing him there, in my home, felt right. His visit was a balm to my wounded heart. Unlike at his house, here he was welcomed with open arms and genuine warmth. My parents, despite their hardships, treated him with kindness and respect. He was so at ease, so much himself, that I could see a faint blush of shame on his cheeks, as if he was realizing for the first time just how terribly his own parents had behaved. When it was time for us to head back to the city for my shift at the diner, my mother pulled Leo aside. She waited until I was out of earshot, but I saw the quiet intensity of their conversation. Later, he told me what she'd said. Leo, she had begun, her voice soft but firm. I am not a fool. I know my daughter, and I know she came back from your home with a heavy heart. I also know that your parents do not approve of her. I don't blame them. We don't have much. But Margaret is my daughter. She is precious to me. I will not stand by and watch her be unhappy, so I'm telling you this now. If you cannot convince your parents to welcome her, truly welcome her, with happy and willing hearts, is less than #0. 3 hashes greater than, then I will not give my blessing for you to marry her. He had looked my mother straight in the eye, his own voice filled with a new, steely resolve. Mrs. Miller, you have my word. I will make them see how wonderful she is. They don't know her yet. But they will. They will love her. Please, trust me. My mother, her heart heavy with a mother's worry, had simply nodded. On the drive back, the mood in the car was different. It was hopeful, determined. If it takes a long time, he said, taking my hand, a long time for me to convince them. Will you wait for me? I didn't even have to think about it. I squeezed his hand. I'll wait for you forever, Leo. As long as we can be together, I'll wait. We held hands, a silent promise passing between us. We would fight for this. Together, we would build our home, our future, no matter what. We were so lost in our bubble of renewed hope that we didn't see the car. It came out of a side road, running a stop sign. A flash of red. The horrifying screech of tires on asphalt. The world became a kaleidoscope of spinning metal and shattering glass. I remember the violent jolt, being thrown against the passenger door, and then silence. A terrible, ringing silence. I opened my eyes. My arm was bleeding, glass embedded in the skin. The car was a wreck. I turned to Leo. He was slumped against the steering wheel, unnaturally still. A dark trickle of blood ran from his temple. Leo? I whispered. Leo? No response. He was unconscious, still, so terribly still. The music swells dramatically, then cuts to a tense, rhythmic heartbeat. The next thing I knew, I was in a hospital. The sterile white walls, the smell of antiseptic. Eleanor and Arthur were already there, their faces masks of panic. When Leo finally opened his eyes, their relief was a tangible thing, a wave that washed over the room. And the first word out of his mouth, the very first sound he made, was my name. Margaret. Maggie. Are you okay? Are you hurt? I rushed to his side, my own minor cuts and bruises forgotten. I'm here. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Seeing the long, angry gash on my arm, his face crumpled with guilt. This is my fault. I wasn't paying attention. I'm so sorry, Maggie. But our moment was shattered by Eleanor. She barged past me, her voice shrill and demanding. Doctor, my son is awake. Why isn't anyone doing anything? Check on him. Now, what kind of hospital is this? The young doctor on duty shot her a look of pure annoyance but kept his voice professional. Ma'am, please calm down. He turned to a nurse. Laura, get him prepped. We need a full set of scans, stat. As they wheeled Leo away, Eleanor and I were left alone in the waiting room. The thin veneer of civility was gone. She turned on me, her eyes filled with a cold, hard fury. Let's be honest with each other, she said, her voice low and dangerous. I didn't like you from the moment I saw you, and now this. This only confirms it. You are a curse. You are bad luck, a black cloud hanging over my son's head. If you have any sense, any decency at all, you will walk away from him now, before you do any more damage. I will not be lenient. I will not be persuaded. So don't even try to play any games with me. You are out of your league. Something inside me, something that had been beaten down and silenced, finally snapped. Ma'am, I said, my voice shaking but clear. Leo and I love each other. And it's not because I'm some poor, uneducated girl trying to latch onto your son's good fortune, as you seem to think. When he was just a student, living on the allowance you sent him, I was already earning my own money, honest money, with my own 2 hands. I have nothing to be ashamed of. I am proud of who I am, and I don't see a single thing about myself that makes me unworthy of your son." Her jaw dropped. She was not used to being spoken to this way. I pressed on, the words tumbling out. "But since you've made your feelings so painfully clear, then fine. I won't hold on to him anymore. You can have him back. You can wrap your precious golden boy in cotton wool and protect him from the world. But my parents raised me too, and you do not have the right to insult me or my family. As soon as Leo is out of this hospital, I will break up with him. I hope you find a suitable, well-matched daughter-in-law for your family very, very soon." The torrent of words left her stunned, speechless. For the first time, Eleanor Vance had no comeback. She just stood there, her mouth opening and closing like a fish, sputtering, You insolent little." Leo was lucky. No serious injuries, just a concussion and some bruises. He would need to stay in the hospital for observation. Eleanor and I took turns sitting with him, but we were like two warring countries, carefully avoiding each other's territory. When she was there, I would leave. When I came, she would find an excuse to go. My heart was breaking. I knew I had to end it, but the thought of doing it so suddenly while he was still recovering, I was afraid it would be too much for him. And for me, I had to ease out of his life. I had to create distance. "My dad's not feeling well," I told him during one of my visits, the lie tasting like poison in my mouth. "And I need to pick up extra shifts at the diner to help with the bills. I can't be here as much as I want to be. You have to eat, okay? Don't be sad." He took my hand, his eyes full of love and concern. "You work too hard, Maggie. It kills me that I can't help you more. I feel so useless." "Don't say that. Just you getting better, getting strong enough to start your new job. That's all I need. That will make me happy." I was in agony. I was giving up the only happiness I'd ever known. But what was the alternative? What is love without dignity? The chasm between me and his mother was too wide, too deep. If I forced my way into that family, she would make my life a living hell. Especially now that I had dared to stand up to her. Becoming her daughter-in-law was no longer just unlikely, it was impossible. And Eleanor, she used every moment I wasn't there to her advantage. She was a master of psychological warfare, slowly poisoning Leo's mind against me. "I just don't understand you, Leo," she'd sigh, fluffing his pillow. "That Chloe came to visit you 3 times today. You didn't even know. Her father is so influential, and she is such a kind, devoted girl. And yet you choose her, this Margaret." Leo would defend me, his voice weak but firm. "Mom, please, don't start. For me, there's nothing to criticize about Margaret. She's strong, she's resilient, she's kind." "Strong? Or just stubborn?" Eleanor would scoff. "You didn't see the way she spoke to me, the disrespect. And look at you now. You're in this hospital bed because of her. And where is she? She barely comes to visit. It's easy for her now, while you're just a little banged up. But what if it were serious? What if you were laid up for months? Do you really think a girl like that would stick around to take care of you?" "She has to work, Mom," he'd insist. "She has a lot on her plate. I'm fine now, and you're here." Eleanor would fall silent, seeing she was pushing too hard. She was patient. She knew her constant, dripping poison would eventually find a crack and seep in. 5 days later, Leo was discharged. Both Eleanor and I were there to pick him up. While she was at the counter dealing with the paperwork, I was helping him get dressed. We were silent, the unspoken tension, a third person in the room. When we met Eleanor by the main entrance, waiting for a taxi, Leo had to use the restroom. The moment he was gone, she was on me. My son is out of the hospital, she hissed. You no longer have an excuse to hang around him, playing the devoted girlfriend. I hope this is the last time I ever have to see your unpleasant face. I met her gaze, my own voice just as cold. Don't worry, Mrs. Vance, the feeling is mutual. You look down on people like they're dirt under your fingernails. I have no desire to be anywhere near you. I'm afraid your arrogance might be contagious. I don't know how much money your family has, but I can tell you one thing for sure. It hasn't bought you an ounce of class. Her face contorted in rage. She lunged at me, her fingers like claws. How dare you? Your parents must have raised you in a barn to be so rude. You uneducated, foul-mouthed trash. I pushed her away, hard. Don't you ever talk about my parents. You are not worthy to even speak their names. And at that exact moment, Leo walked out. Eleanor, the consummate actress, crumpled to the floor, instantly transforming into a weeping victim. Oh, Leo, I can't take it. I can't. She hasn't even married into the family, and she's already trying to walk all over me. Today she pushes me. Tomorrow, will she hit me, abuse me in my own home? Leo rushed to her side, helping her up, his face a mess of confusion. Mom, what happened? What's going on? Eleanor, sensing her moment, played her trump card. Do you see now, son? Do you finally see her for what she is? I simply asked her why she didn't visit you more often, and she told me I wasn't your mother, that I had no right to ask. I said, am I not old enough to be your mother? And she flew into a rage. She said I had no right to speak of her parents, and then she shoved me to the ground. It's her or me, Leo. From this day forward, if you have me as a mother, you cannot have her. He looked at me, his eyes pleading for an explanation, for anything, but I was done. I was so done. My voice was flat, empty. It's your choice. Believe who you want. We're over. And with that, I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. I could hear his voice calling my name. Margaret, Margaret, wait. He wanted to follow, to get the other side of the story, to untangle the lies. But his mother was clinging to his arm, pulling him back, whining, let's go home, Leo. Let her go. After all this, you can't possibly still want her, can you? The moment I stepped out of the hospital doors and into the harsh sunlight, the tears I had refused to shed in front of them began to fall. Hot, silent tears of rage and grief and a profound, bottomless loss. Leo went home with his mother. Of course he did. He was a good son, but his mind was a battlefield. He told me later that he knew, deep down, that something wasn't right, that I wouldn't just attack his mother for no reason. But what was he to do? The scene he had walked into was so stark, so damning. His mother weeping on the floor, me standing over her with a face like stone. What other conclusion could he draw? He tried to call me dozens of times, but I couldn't answer. I couldn't speak to him. What was there to say? Your mother is a manipulative liar who set me up. He wouldn't believe me, not over her. So I let the calls go to voicemail. Finally, I sent him a single text message, a clean, sharp cut. Let's break up. Find someone better than me. He called back immediately, but I had already blocked his number. The constant ringing stopped, replaced by an unnerving digital silence. Eleanor, naturally, was right there to twist the knife. See, she said, her voice dripping with false sympathy as she watched him stare at his silent phone. What kind of girl just ends things like that? After one little argument? It means she never really cared. She was probably just waiting for an excuse. Or maybe she's already found someone else, someone with more to offer. Why are you still wasting your thoughts on her, son? If you had brought that girl into this house, you would have had to step over my dead body. The fact that she left you, it's a blessing. He finally snapped, his voice raw with grief and frustration. Just stop it, Mom. It's because of you. It's because of your attitude, right from the beginning. The first time she came to this house, you looked at her like she was something you'd scraped off your shoe. I saw it. I'm not blind. I thought you just needed time to get to know her. I never imagined you would. It would drive her away. That you'd push things until it all fell apart. So you're blaming me? She shrieked, her victim act back in full force. Is it a crime for a mother to want the best for her son? To want a daughter-in-law who is worthy of him? Look at how she disrespected me. You saw it with your own eyes. Only I can tolerate her insolence. This family cannot. He didn't have the energy to fight anymore. He was still in love with me, of course he was. But how could he fix this? How could he possibly bridge the chasm that now separated us? Even if he wanted me back, I wouldn't come. Not now. He was lost. And Eleanor, seeing her son adrift, knew it was the perfect time to bring in the lifeboat she had chosen for him all along. She began scheming with Chloe. Leo is just so sad right now, she'd say over the phone, her voice a conspiratorial whisper. He's heartbroken, I think. I think you should be more proactive, dear. He might seem distant at first, but once he lets you in, he won't be able to push you away. Men, even grown men, are like children. They're easily influenced. Once they get used to something, they stick with it. I've been trying, Mrs. Vance, Chloe would whine, her voice a perfect imitation of concern. I text him, I call him, but he's so cold to me. I don't know what else to do. Eleanor paused, letting the silence hang in the air. Then she lowered her voice. Chloe, are you willing to take a gamble? A gamble? I'll support you, of course. I'll be on your side. But you might have to make a small sacrifice. Chloe's voice sharpened with interest. What do you mean? Have you ever heard the saying, Eleanor said, her voice smooth as silk, that the best way to a man's heart is to cook him a meal? Well, sometimes you have to cook the rice before he's agreed to eat it. Do you understand? Once, just once, you get him to fall into your arms. I will handle the rest. I will make him take responsibility. He'll be angry at first, of course. He'll feel trapped, but a steady rain softens the hardest ground. Once you are his wife, is less than #0. 3# is greater than he will have to love you. There was a moment of hesitation on Chloe's end. Are you sure that will work? I have his back, Eleanor said with absolute certainty. You have nothing to worry about, and if, by some happy accident, you were to get pregnant, well, that would be even better. A man might not love his wife, but he has to love his child, and you would be the mother of his child. Don't you see? He wouldn't dare abandon you then. I know, my son. Chloe's hesitation vanished, replaced by a steely determination. Okay, Mrs. Vance, I'll try. The two of them, two vipers in a garden, smiled their secret smiles, confident in the success of their plan. A month passed. A month of hollow days and sleepless nights. The initial, searing pain of the breakup had settled into a dull, constant ache. I went through the motions, work, home, sleep, repeat. My mother watched me, her heart breaking for me. She'd seen me return from the city a few times, looking like a ghost, my face etched with a sorrow so deep it scared her. But this time was different. This time, she saw something else. It was the morning sickness, the sudden, violent waves of nausea that sent me running from the kitchen, the unnatural paleness of my skin. She called me into the living room, her face grim. There was no gentle lead-in this time. "Tell me the truth, Margaret. Are you pregnant?" I tried to deny it. "Mom, what are you talking about?" Her voice was like steel. "Don't you lie to me. Do you think you can hide something like that from your own mother? How far along are you?" My shoulders slumped in defeat. I couldn't look at her. I just stared at the floorboards as I whispered, "Almost 2 months. And Leo? Does he know? What does he intend to do?" The whole story came pouring out then. The breakup at the hospital, the blocked number, the silence. After we broke up, I explained, my voice barely audible. "That's when I found out, but we're not together anymore. And I know I can't ever be a part of his family. I could never be happy there. So I decided, I'm going to raise this baby on my own. I'm not going to tell him." My mother looked at me, her face a mixture of love and despair. "Oh, you foolish, foolish girl, to not protect yourself, and to be left with this. You can be a single mother. Yes, I will support you. But what about the baby? What about a child growing up without a father's love? That child is innocent in all of this. Have you thought about what happens when they're old enough for school? When the other children taunt them, call them a bastard? When they see their friends with their fathers and they come home and ask you, 'Mommy, where's my daddy?' What will you tell them then?" I covered my face with my hands and sobbed. "I don't know, Mom. I don't know what to do. I can't get rid of it. I can't. But I can't tell him either. So I'll let my child suffer. That's my only choice." My mother just held me, her own tears falling silently onto my hair. How could she let this happen? How could she let her daughter and her grandchild be so hurt? That night, a cool autumn evening, Chloe put her plan into motion. At 7 o'clock, her call found Leo nursing a beer at a local bar, trying to drink away the memories. "Leo," she purred into the phone, her voice slurred and seductive. "Come have a drink with me. I'm so sad." He sighed, weary. "Chloe, it sounds like you've had enough. Go home. Get some rest. Whatever's bothering you isn't worth risking your health over." "No," she whined. "I'm tired. I'm drunk. Come pick me up, please." He tried to refuse. "Just call a cab. It's safer. I wouldn't feel right driving you home on my motorcycle." Her voice became a pouty, childish wail. "No. If you don't come get me, I'm not going home with anyone else. I'll just stay here all night. It's your fault if something happens to me." It was emotional blackmail, plain and simple. But Leo, with his ingrained sense of responsibility, couldn't just leave her there. With a heavy sigh, he gave in. Okay, stay right there. I'm on my way." She smiled, a triumphant, predatory smile. The fish had taken the bait. 10 minutes later, he walked into the dimly lit bar. She threw herself at him, burying her face in his chest, her shoulders shaking with fake sobs. "I thought you weren't coming. I thought you were just going to leave me here all alone." Thinking she was genuinely drunk and upset, he patted her back awkwardly. "Of course I came. Now, it's late. Let me take you home. Your parents will be worried." "No," she said, pulling away, her eyes glittering. "You have to have one drink with me, just one. Then we can go." In the beer she held out to him, she had already dissolved the pill. She'd opened it just as he walked in, making it look like a fresh bottle. He was cornered. Reluctantly, he sat down, hoping to placate her. "Okay, fine. But first, tell me what's wrong. Why are you so upset?" She had her story ready, her eyes filled with tears. "I'm in love with someone I shouldn't be in love with," she sniffed. "Isn't that a sad enough reason?" His own heart ached in sympathy. "Love is complicated," he said quietly. "But the first thing you need to do is go home and get some sleep. Things will look clearer in the morning." "No," she insisted, shoving the beer towards him. "You have to drink with me. If you don't, I'm not leaving." He was out of options. "Fine," he sighed. "One drink, then we go." He took the bottle from her. He raised it to his lips, and his phone rang. He set the beer down, untouched, and answered it. "Hello?" There was a hesitant voice on the other end. A woman's voice. It took him a second to place it. "Leo. It's Sarah, Margaret's mother." He sat bolt upright, his heart pounding. "Mrs. Miller? Yes. Hello. Is everything okay? I have something very important to talk to you about," she said, her voice strained. Can you come to our house tomorrow?" This was it. The opening he'd been praying for. A reason to see me again. "I can come right now," he said, his voice urgent. "I'll be there as soon as I can. Don't go anywhere." "But won't that be an imposition?" "Not at all. I'm on my way." He hung up and turned to Chloe, all thoughts of her manufactured drama gone from his mind. "Something's come up. I have to go. Now. You get yourself home." He flagged down a passing taxi, thrust a $20 bill at the driver, and said, "Make sure she gets home safe," before he'd even heard Chloe's sputtering protests. "Leo, wait. Leo." He was already on his motorcycle, speeding away, disappearing into the night. Chloe was left standing on the curb, fuming, as the taxi driver patiently asked where she'd like to go. It was late when he arrived at our little farmhouse. He knocked softly on the door. My mother let him in. "Leo, come in. Thank you for calling me, Mrs. Miller." "Sit down," she said, her face unreadable. "There's something you need to know." He sat, his hands clasped nervously between his knees. She took a deep breath. "Leo, I don't approve of my daughter getting back together with you after what your mother did. It was cruel, and I will not have Margaret be hurt like that again, but that's not why I called you. This isn't about me trying to get you back for her." She paused, gathering her strength. "Margaret is pregnant, and the baby is yours." The world stopped. The air left his lungs. He stared at her, his mind reeling. What did you say?" "She's pregnant." "Yes," my mother confirmed, her voice heavy. "She's almost 2 months along. I just found out myself." He looked like he'd been struck by lightning. Joy, disbelief, and a crushing wave of guilt all washed over his face at once. I need to see her. She's been avoiding me. I understand why, but this changes everything. We can build a family. I'll take care of her. I'll take care of the baby." My mother's face softened slightly, but the worry remained. "And your family, Leo? What about them?" "I am afraid for my daughter. If she marries into a family where she is not wanted, her life will be a misery." "They'll come around," he said, the old, naive confidence returning. But this time it was bolstered by a new, fierce determination. They have to. When they find out they're having a grandchild, they'll have to accept her. As for Margaret, please, Mrs. Miller, talk to her for me. Help me convince her. We can make this work. We can put the past behind us and be happy." My mother was silent for a long moment. Finally, she sighed. "I want to see her," Leo pleaded again. "Where is she?" "She's not here," my mother said. "She went back to the city this afternoon. She said she had to work her shift. She wanted to save up money for the baby. She didn't want me to call you, Leo. She was going to keep it a secret." The thought of me, pregnant and alone, trying to bear this burden all by myself, was too much for him. He stood up, his mind made up. "Thank you for telling me, Mrs. Miller. I need to go. I'm going to go home and tell my parents." He turned and left, a man on a mission. My mother nodded, a silent prayer on her lips. From the bedroom, she could hear my father's hacking cough. She knew he hadn't been sleeping. He'd heard everything. "Sarah," he rasped as she entered the room. "Whatever you do, don't let our daughter be shamed. I may not have long left, but I want to die knowing she is safe and respected." "Don't worry, Thomas," she whispered, stroking his forehead. "I'll take care of it." Leo didn't get home until after midnight. He sent his parents a brief text. "Had an emergency. Won't be home tonight. We'll explain in the morning." Eleanor was furious. She paced the living room, ranting to her husband. "It's that little tramp. She's lured him away again. She pretends to be so innocent, but she's a snake. A fish stinks from the head down, and she is rotten to the core." Arthur, trying to eat a bowl of instant noodles, just grunted. "You're his mother. If you can't control your own son, who are you going to complain to?" Their argument was interrupted by a knock at the door. It was Brenda from next door. "Eleanor, darling, are you busy? You will not believe the thing I have to tell you." Eleanor, always hungry for gossip, smoothed her robe and opened the door. "Brenda, what is it?" "You know that psychic I was telling you about? In Northwood, the one who's supposed to be unbelievably accurate? Well, I finally got us an appointment for tomorrow. Are you coming?" Eleanor's eyes lit up. This was just what she needed. A glimpse into the future. A way to control the outcome. "Yes," she said, a slow smile spreading across her face. "Yes, I'm coming." The psychic's name was Mr. Elias. He operated out of a small, unassuming house on the edge of Northwood, a house filled with the cloying scent of incense and old secrets. The main room was dimly lit, dominated by a large, ornate altar tiered in 3 levels, thick with the smoke of 100 burning joss sticks. It was the kind of place designed to make you feel small, to make you believe in forces beyond your control. Eleanor, despite her hardened exterior, felt a tremor of unease. She clutched her purse, her knuckles white, and whispered to Brenda, "He has such a benevolent aura, so serene." Brenda nodded sagely. "A gift from the spirits is worth more than a mountain of earthly treasures. Those who are blessed with the sight must live a pure life." They waited in silence, acutely aware of the hushed reverence of the other clients waiting their turn. Finally, it was Eleanor's. Mr. Elias was an old man, perhaps in his 70s, with a full head of startlingly white hair and a face as smooth and rosy as a polished apple. He sat behind a small wooden table, his eyes dark and penetrating. He asked for her full name and date of birth, mumbling the information to himself as he lit a fresh stick of incense. He bowed 3 times to his altar, placed the incense in a brass bowl, and then turned his unnerving gaze back to Eleanor. "Show me your right hand, madam." She extended her hand, her palm sweating. He didn't touch it, merely squinted at the lines. "There has been a transgression," he said, his voice a low rumble. "You have offended the ancestors. They are displeased. There has been a recent accident in your family, has there not? Nothing fatal, but a shock to the system. A warning, Eleanor gasped, her carefully constructed composure crumbling. Yes, that's right, my son. He was in a car accident. How did you know? She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a desperate whisper. Please, you have to help me. I'm just a mortal woman. I don't know what to do. He held up a hand, silencing her. The ancestors are angry. A ceremony must be performed to ask for their forgiveness. If you do not appease them, I fear more misfortune will follow. What do I need to do? She asked, her voice trembling. What preparations must I make? You will do nothing, he said, his voice taking on an authoritative tone. I will calculate the auspicious date and time. You will simply be present. I will handle the proceedings. The cost, of course, will be yours to bear. Yes, of course, whatever you say, she stammered, fumbling in her purse for her wallet. She felt completely exposed, stripped bare by this strange old man's sight. He saw her fear and offered a sliver of comfort. However, fate can be changed by good deeds. The ancestors may punish, but they also reward. Do not despair. There is a happy event on the horizon for your family. A new addition. More people, more prosperity. A lucky star is about to be born into your house. Eleanor's head snapped up, her eyes wide with confusion. A lucky star? What do you mean? Mr. Elias's voice boomed, filling the small room. Your family will soon welcome a new child. This child will be the one to wash away all the bad luck. They are your family's lucky charm. The bad will turn to good, all thanks to this blessed child. A dazzling, brilliant hope exploded in Eleanor's chest. A child. It had to be Chloe. Their plan had worked. She was pregnant. The thought was so overwhelming, so joyous, that she felt lightheaded. Oh, thank you, she gushed, relief and triumph making her voice giddy. Thank you so much. He simply nodded, his face impassive. As she backed away from the table, her mind already racing. A lucky star, a grandchild. Everything was falling into place. Meanwhile, I was in my own personal hell. After Leo's visit to my mother, he had driven straight through the night, arriving at my apartment in the city before dawn. He stood outside my door for what felt like hours, his voice a low, desperate plea through the wood. Maggie, please, I know you're in there. Your mom told me. She told me everything. Why did you hide it from me? We're having a baby, Maggie. A baby. We have to build a family, a happy home for our child. Why are you being so stubborn? Please, just open the door. Let me in. I leaned against the other side of the door, my body shaking, pretending I was asleep, pretending I couldn't hear him, but his persistence wore me down. I couldn't let him wake the whole building. Finally, close to dawn, I unlatched the lock. The moment the door was open, he was inside, pulling me into his arms, holding me so tight I could barely breathe. We're going to be okay, he whispered into my hair. I'm going to make it okay. He saw this as his chance. He had leverage now, a grandchild. He laid out his plan, his voice filled with a desperate, almost manic optimism. Go home with me, Maggie. Please, let me tell them. I was hesitant, so full of doubt. And then what, Leo? And then we'll figure it out, he said, his eyes shining. That's all. Just let me try. That shred of hope, that tiny, foolish flicker that refused to be extinguished, was enough. I agreed. He drove me back to Maple Creek that morning. He was so sure, so confident that the news of a baby would magically erase all the bitterness and hate. When he walked into the house and saw only his father, he was a little disappointed. He wanted a full audience for his grand announcement. "Dad, you're home," he said, a little too cheerfully. "Where's Mom?" "She went out with Brenda this morning," Arthur grunted, wiping his hands on a towel. "I just got back from the farmer's market. Ordered some fresh chickens. They'll deliver them this afternoon." "Why are you back so early?" "I thought you had plans." "Something important came up," Leo said, practically vibrating with nervous energy. "When Mom gets home, I need to talk to both of you." Arthur just shrugged, uninterested, and went to wash his face. A few minutes later, Eleanor swept in, flushed with her psychic victory. The moment she saw me, sitting stiffly on the edge of her perfect sofa, her face clouded over. "What is she doing here?" she demanded, her voice sharp. "And you? Where were you last night? You think you can just disappear and not worry your mother sick?" Leo ignored her questions. He stood up, took a deep breath, and gestured for his parents to sit. "Mom, Dad, please, sit down. I have something to tell you." The gravity in his voice made them pause. They sat, their eyes fixed on him, a sense of foreboding filling the room. Leo didn't waste any time. He stood straight, his voice ringing with forced confidence. "First, I want to announce that you two are going to be grandparents. Margaret is 2 months pregnant." He took another breath. "And second, I am asking for your permission to marry her." The silence that followed was absolute. It was as if a bomb had gone off, sucking all the air out of the room. Then Eleanor exploded. "What?" she shrieked, jumping to her feet. "The one pregnant with my grandchild is not Chloe? It's this damn jinx." Leo stood his ground. "Mom, we love each other. It's normal for us to have a baby. For my sake, for the sake of your grandchild. Can't you please just let the past go? Can't you find it in your heart to be generous, to accept her?" Eleanor was beyond reason. She was so furious she couldn't speak. She just pointed a shaking finger at me, then turned and stormed off to her bedroom, slamming the door behind her. She was trapped by a prophecy. The psychic had said a child was coming, a lucky star, but it was the wrong child, carried by the wrong woman. Her perfect plan was in ruins. She hated me with a passion that burned in her gut. But the psychic's words echoed in her mind. The child will wash away the bad luck. She couldn't reject her grandchild, but accepting me as her daughter-in-law was a price she could barely stomach. She paced her room, a caged animal, weighing her options. She could fight it, of course. But what if Leo refused to give her the child? He wouldn't, but I might. She knew me well enough to know that. I wouldn't just hand over my baby, not for any amount of money. So, she had to play the long game. She had to swallow her pride for now, let the wedding happen, get the grandchild safely into the family, and then, well, a marriage can be undone, a divorce can be arranged, and in a custody battle, who would the courts favor? The son of a respected family with a stable career, or the unemployed, uneducated, single mother with no means of support? The answer was obvious. That evening, she emerged from her room, her face calm, her expression resolved. She called Leo into the living room. "Come here, son. Let's talk." He approached her cautiously. She looked different, resigned. "Tomorrow," she said, her voice flat, "bring that girl back here. I need to have a word with her." Leo's face lit up with relief. "Thank you, Mom. Thank you. I promise, from now on, I will never do anything to displease you again." She just nodded, turning away before he could see the cold, calculating look in her eyes. He called me immediately, his voice bubbling with excitement. "Maggie," she agreed. "My mom wants me to bring you over tomorrow. She's happy about the baby. I knew she would be. See? I told you it would be okay. The past is the past. We can start fresh." His joy was infectious. I let myself believe it. I wanted to believe it. Maybe a baby really could change everything. I was so naive. When Leo told his father that Eleanor had consented, Arthur was surprised, but relieved. He tried to talk to her, to make sense of her sudden change of heart. "You know," he said, settling into bed beside her that night, "I was also hoping Leo would end up with someone like Chloe. Someone from a good family, with a stable career. But he's having a child now. We should accept it, for the baby's sake. It's our blood, after all." Eleanor turned to him in the darkness, her voice a low, venomous whisper. "Accept her? Never. But I have to tolerate her, for now, to get my grandchild. And then, Arthur, then I will crush her. I will kick her out of this house so fast she won't know what hit her." Arthur's eyes widened in the gloom. He understood. A slow, cruel smile spread across his face. He reached out and patted her arm. "You just let me know what you need me to do." The next day, when Leo brought me back to that house, the atmosphere was thick with a false, fragile peace. Eleanor gestured for me to sit down. I obeyed, my hands clenched in my lap. I took a deep breath and forced out the words I had rehearsed. "Mrs. Vance, I want to apologize for my behavior before. I was young and foolish. I said things I shouldn't have. Please forgive me." She waved a dismissive hand, a magnanimous queen accepting the apology of a lowly subject. "Let's not dwell on the past. Leo tells me you're pregnant." I nodded, my eyes fixed on the floor. "Yes, I'm 2 months along." "Right," she said, her voice all business. "Then there's no time to waste. Your parents need to be informed. The 2nd of next month is an auspicious day. My husband and I will pay them a formal visit to discuss the wedding arrangements. We must get you married before you start to show. A scandal is the last thing this family needs." Every word was a slap in the face. She wasn't welcoming me. She was managing a crisis. But what could I do? For my child's sake, for Leo's, I had to swallow the bitterness. "Yes, ma'am," I said meekly. "I'll tell my parents." That evening, Leo came with me to my parents' house to deliver the news. "Mr. and Mrs. Miller," he began formally, "Margaret and I have been in love for a long time. We've had our trials, but our feelings for each other are clear. Now that she is pregnant, I'm asking for your permission to marry her. My parents know, and they've asked me to tell you that they will be here next week, on the 2nd, to formally propose and arrange the wedding. They feel it should happen as soon as possible." My mother's face was a mixture of relief and apprehension. But she agreed. "You tell your parents we accept their proposal." After Leo had gone, my father, who had been silent throughout the exchange, called me to his bedside. "To see my daughter get married," he wheezed, his voice thin and papery. "I can die in peace, but, Margaret, going into another family's home, you will face hardships. I worry for you, my girl." I hugged him, my heart aching. "Don't worry, Dad. I'll be fine." On the appointed day, Eleanor arrived at our humble farmhouse, dressed in a shimmering, peacock blue traditional dress. Every inch the lady of the manor. Arthur was in a crisp suit, and Leo looked handsome, if nervous, in a white shirt and slacks. They were accompanied by Leo's uncle, Arthur's older brother, a pompous man named Robert who clearly enjoyed his role as the family patriarch. My own family's representation was much humbler. My parents and my mother's brother, a quiet farmer with calloused hands. Robert cleared his throat, taking charge. On behalf of my brother and sister-in-law, and with their authority, I am here today to discuss the union of our two families. My uncle nodded. Please, proceed. We have consulted the calendar, Robert announced, and the 28th of this month is a most auspicious day for a wedding. We would like to request your permission to welcome your daughter, Margaret, into our family on that day. My uncle frowned. The suddenness of it, the lack of a proper engagement period. It was a breach of tradition, a slight, but custom dictates there is an engagement ceremony first, and then the wedding, he protested. To skip the engagement, it is not proper. Before Robert could offer a diplomatic reply, Eleanor cut in, her voice sharp and impatient. Please try to understand. We are only thinking of the children. If we waste time with a lengthy engagement, Margaret's condition will become obvious. The gossip, the shame, it would be unbearable. For everyone's sake, it is better to move quickly. My uncle looked at my father, who was too weak to speak. He looked at my mother, whose lips were pressed into a thin, unhappy line. He looked at me, my eyes swimming with unshed tears of humiliation. He tried one more time, but the village, people will talk. They will say it is a shotgun wedding. It will bring shame upon my niece. Eleanor's patience had run out. She played her final, cruel card. And is that worse than them saying she was pregnant before the wedding? Which shame would you prefer? Your brother is unwell. Let us just say that the rushed wedding is his dying wish. It is a perfect explanation. No one will question it. The blow was so direct, so brutal, that it stole the breath from the room. I burst into tears, a sob tearing from my throat. I was about to stand up, to scream that I wouldn't marry into this monstrous family, when my father's weak voice cut through the silence. I agree, he whispered. It is my wish. And that was it. The matter was settled. My family, defeated and heartbroken, had no choice but to concede. When the discussion turned to the dowry, the humiliation continued. It was customary for the groom's family to offer a gift of gold, usually amounting to several $1,000s. Eleanor, with a sigh of practiced hardship, said, "We know the custom, but this wedding has been so sudden. We have been forced into this situation, and our finances are stretched. We are prepared to offer $800. After all, it is the sentiment that counts, not the money. Is that not right?" And so it went, a series of calculated insults, each one chipping away at my family's dignity. The wedding was planned, the date was set. On the day itself, Chloe was there, her eyes shooting daggers at me from across the room. I saw Eleanor whisper something in her ear, and Chloe's bitter expression softened into a smug, knowing smile. The day after the wedding, we performed the final ritual, a formal visit back to my parents' home. During the meal, my mother took Eleanor's hand. "My Margaret is still young," she said, her voice pleading. "She is naive. If she does anything to displease you, please teach her, guide her. I only worry that she will be a burden to you." Eleanor smiled, a thin, cold smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Don't you worry. If she makes a small mistake, I will give her a small lesson. If she makes a big mistake, I will give her a big lesson. You just need to hope she is not a stubborn, disrespectful child who refuses to be taught. If that happens, Don't blame me for what follows. My mother's face went pale. When it was time for me to leave, she clung to me, her eyes wet with tears. Take care of yourself, be a good wife, and be a good, obedient daughter-in-law. Do you understand? That is the only way you will survive. I nodded, unable to speak. Yes, Mom, I understand. As the car pulled away, I watched her figure grow smaller and smaller until she was just a speck in the distance. I was leaving my home, my family, everything I had ever known, and I was driving headfirst into a storm. The moment we stepped back into the Vance house, the fragile illusion of a happy new beginning shattered. Eleanor summoned Leo and me to the living room, her face set like stone. "Sit," she commanded. We sat. "Now that we are all family," she began, her voice devoid of any warmth, "there is no need for pretense. Leo, you will focus on your work at the clinic. Margaret, you will quit that degrading waitressing job. Your place is here, in this house. You will manage the household chores." She paused, letting the words sink in, then delivered the final, crushing blow. "And one more thing. There will only be one person in charge of the finances in this house. That person has always been me, and it will continue to be me. Leo, when you receive your paycheck, you will give it directly to me. I will manage the family budget. I will give your wife a daily allowance for groceries. There will be no separate accounts, no private funds." Leo seemed to find this arrangement perfectly reasonable. He nodded in agreement, but I couldn't stay silent. My independence, my ability to contribute, was being stripped away. "Mother," I said, the word feeling foreign and bitter in my mouth. I think I'm still strong enough to work. I'd like to keep earning my own money, at least until the baby comes." Her eyes flashed with cold fire. "Are you disobeying me? A waitress? How much could you possibly earn? It's an embarrassment to this family. You will stay home. It is for the best." I started to protest again, to argue that my work mattered, that I mattered, but I felt Leo's hand on my arm, a gentle, warning squeeze. "Don't, Maggie, don't fight her." His silent plea was a gut punch. He wasn't going to stand up for me, not even now. Seeing my reluctant submission, Leo tried to smooth things over. "Mom's right, Maggie. It's a good arrangement. You need to rest. For the baby, in 6 months, you'll be too tired to work anyway. I'll work extra shifts to make up for it, don't worry." Eleanor nodded, a flicker of satisfaction on her face. As we stood up to leave, she called out, her voice deceptively casual, "Margaret, one more thing." I turned. "Yes, that wedding gold you received," she said, her eyes glinting. "You should give it to me, for safekeeping. I can invest it, make it grow. We have a long life ahead of us. We must be practical. There will be children to raise." The request was so audacious, so completely out of line, that for a moment I was speechless. That gold was mine, my only asset, my only safety net. But I looked at Leo's pleading face, and I knew I had no choice. To refuse would be to declare open war. "Of course, Mother," I said, my voice hollow. "I'll go get it." In our room, I gathered the necklaces, the bracelets, the small pile of my future, and brought them to her. She took the velvet pouch without a word, but her eyes, greedy and sharp, darted to my ears. "What about the earrings?" she asked, her voice sharp. "You didn't take those off." This time, I found my spine. "No," I said, my voice firm. "The rings and necklaces were gifts from your side of the family. These earrings, these were from my mother. They are my dowry. I'm keeping them." She shot me a look of pure venom, but didn't push it. She had won the war. She could afford to lose this small battle. Back in our room, the weight of my new reality crashed down on me. I saw Leo stretched out on the bed, looking relaxed, content, and a surge of bitter resentment washed over me. He saw the look on my face, the tears welling in my eyes, and sat up, his expression softening. "You're upset with my mother, aren't you?" he said gently. "I know it's hard. I know you feel wronged, but please, Maggie, for me, for our baby, just be patient with her. I promise. I'll try to balance things. I won't let you be sad." "She doesn't respect me, Leo," I said, my voice thick with unshed tears. "She looks down on my work, so she takes it away from me. Why didn't you say something? Why didn't you defend me? Don't let it get to you," he pleaded. "You're pregnant. Stress is bad for the baby. And working on your feet all day. It isn't safe. Just try to see the positive side." The rage I was feeling was so intense it was making me dizzy. The positive side? "What about my gold, Leo?" She demanded I give it to her. I agreed. I handed it over. But if I hadn't, what then? Would she be satisfied? Or would she just hate me even more? And when I need it back, do you think it will be as easy to get as it was to give away? "She's just holding it for you," he said, his voice placating. "If we need it, I'll be the one to ask her for it. Don't worry." I turned away from him, lying down on the bed with my back to him. Newlyweds. We were supposed to be happy, but all I felt was a profound, crushing disappointment. He didn't get it. He didn't see the bars of the cage that were closing around me. He just saw a difficult mother and an emotional wife, and he just wanted them both to be quiet so he could have some peace. Outside the door, Eleanor was listening. She heard every word. A cruel, satisfied smile touched her lips. "So, the little mouse has a fighting spirit," she thought. "She thinks she's a match for me. We'll see about that. We'll see who breaks first." The next morning, the campaign of psychological warfare began in earnest. Leo, trying to be a good husband, woke up early to make me breakfast. He wanted to surprise me. He was in the kitchen, quietly slicing meat for a noodle soup, when Eleanor came downstairs. She had intended to find me, to instruct me on my morning duties, but instead, she found her precious son, her golden boy, cooking. For me, her voice was like a whip crack in the quiet kitchen. "What is the meaning of this? Where is your wife? Does she expect you to cook for her now? You get a wife to be taken care of, not to serve her hand and foot. Is she just going to sleep in all day while the man of the house slaves away in the kitchen?" Leo jumped, startled. "Mom, it's not like that. I wanted to let her sleep in. It was my idea. Please, don't be angry with her. Have you ever been this considerate to me?" She screeched, her voice rising with every word. "You get married and suddenly your wife is a queen you must worship? Is that it?" The noise woke me. I threw on a robe, hastily tied back my hair, and rushed downstairs. "I'm sorry, Mother," I said, my voice breathless. "I'll set an alarm tomorrow. I'm sorry." I turned to Leo. "You should get ready for work. I'll finish this." He looked helplessly from me to his mother, then handed me the kitchen utensils and retreated. Eleanor, however, was not finished with me. "Don't think that just because your husband is soft on you, you can get away with anything," she hissed, her face inches from mine. "I will not tolerate a lazy, disrespectful daughter-in-law. Don't you dare treat me as if I don't exist." I was tired, I was pregnant, and I was done being a doormat. "I didn't know he was awake," I said, my voice level. "And in a marriage, does it really matter who cooks? As long as we're happy, What difference does it make? Her face turned purple with rage. How dare you? How dare you talk back to me? A new bride, not even a week in her husband's home, and you're already arguing with your mother-in-law. Where is your decency? Your respect? Just then, Arthur came downstairs, his face a thundercloud. What is all this noise? It's not even 7 in the morning, and you two are screaming like banshees. Do you want the whole neighborhood to hear? The mother-in-law is a shrew, and the daughter-in-law has a mouth on her. I bowed my head. I'm sorry. Father, I shouldn't have spoken back to her. He turned his disapproval on me. You need to learn your place. She is the woman who gave birth to your husband. No matter what she says, you will treat her with respect. You do not argue. Understood? Yes, Father. Eleanor, appeased, swept out of the kitchen. Arthur followed. I was left alone, staring at the pot of soup simmering on the stove, the steam blurring my vision as tears of frustration and helplessness streamed down my face. Leo came back into the kitchen, his tie perfectly knotted, ready for work. He put his arms around me. I'm sorry, he whispered. You've been wronged. I just wanted to do something nice for you. I never thought it would turn into this. I pulled away, my voice flat. Just eat your breakfast. You'll be late for work. Maggie, please, he begged. Just ignore what she says, okay? She was forced into this marriage. She's not happy about it. Just be obedient. Agree with her. I promise, things will get better. I know, I said, my voice empty. After he left, the day's real trials began. Eleanor called me upstairs. Margaret, I ran up from the basement where I was doing laundry. Yes, Mother? Have you finished your chores? She asked, inspecting her fingernails. You need to be quicker. I despise laziness in a woman. I've finished, Mother. I was just about to feed the chickens when you called. Good, she said, her voice dripping with condescension. She placed a $5 bill on the table. Go to the market, now, before everything good is gone. Get a fresh fish. I want the middle section for a stew, and the head and tail for a soup. Leo loves my fish soup. Yes, Mother. I took the money and left. As I walked out the gate, I could feel her eyes on my back, a look of pure, unadulterated loathing. It occurred to me then that her new favorite hobby, her new purpose in life, was to torment me. I came back from the market with a bag of groceries. The moment I stepped through the door, she was on me, inspecting my purchases like a customs officer searching for contraband. She held up the bunch of spinach. Is this what you call fresh? It's wilted. It looks like pig feed. Are you buying food for this family or for the livestock? I looked at the spinach. A few of the outer leaves were bruised. That was all. But I knew better than to argue. I'm sorry, Mother. I'll be more careful next time. Careful, she sneered. You're a grown woman, supposedly a good daughter, and you can't even shop for groceries properly. The jab at my mother made my blood boil. I bit back a retort, swallowing the anger like a piece of glass. She wasn't finished. She picked up the fish, holding it at arm's length, as if it were a dead rat. And this. Look at its eyes. They're clouded over. This fish has been sitting out for days. The foundation of a good meal is fresh ingredients. Where are your eyes, girl? This time, I couldn't help myself. I bought that fish when it was still alive in the tank, I said, my voice shaking. It only died on the way home. It's not spoiled. Look, its gills are still pink. Don't you dare argue with me, she screeched, shoving the fish back at me. All you're good for is talking back. To the kitchen. Now, as I turned to go, the fish, which had only been stunned, suddenly came back to life. With a mighty flop, it flew out of my hands, its tail smacking Eleanor square across the face. She stumbled backward, letting out a horrified shriek, and fell to the floor. The fish landed beside her, writhing and gasping on the polished wood. It was a scene of such perfect, absurd karma that I almost burst out laughing. I rushed to her side, trying to keep a straight face. "Mother, are you all right?" She scrambled to her feet, her face red with a mixture of shock and fury. She had no grounds to yell at me, but she was seething. "Get that thing to the kitchen before it stinks up the whole house," she screamed. It was a small victory, but in my oppressed world, it felt like a triumph. The stew I made for lunch was fine, but for dinner, when I was preparing the fish soup, Leo's favorite, Eleanor saw her chance. While my back was turned, while I was out in the garden picking herbs, she tiptoed into the kitchen. She picked up the salt shaker and emptied half of it into the simmering pot. Then she slipped away, a malicious smile on her face. She couldn't wait. She imagined Leo's face, his disappointment when he tasted his favorite dish, ruined. She imagined his growing frustration with his incompetent, useless wife. These small things, they would add up, like drops of water on a stone. They would eventually wear away his love. When Leo got home, she was waiting for him, all smiles. "Welcome home, son. You must be tired. Guess what Margaret made for dinner tonight? Your favorite, fish soup." Leo, seeing the peaceful domestic scene, was overjoyed. "That's wonderful. Mom, you're the best. And Maggie, you're the best. The two most important women in my life." He came into the kitchen while I was setting the table and wrapped his arms around me from behind. "I missed you," he whispered. I leaned back against him, a rare moment of happiness. "Did you really? Or are you just saying that?" The atmosphere was light, happy, a brief, beautiful illusion. Dinner was served. The soup looked delicious. Arthur praised its aroma. He eagerly ladled a bowl for himself, filled with fish and vegetables. He raised the spoon to his lips and then slammed the bowl back down on the table with a loud crack. We all jumped. Leo and I stared at him, confused. Eleanor feigned ignorance. "What is it, dear? What is it?" he roared, glaring at me. "This is what it is. Is this daughter-in-law of ours a child? Does she need to be taught how to cook, step by step? This is inedible. How am I supposed to swallow this slop?" Eleanor took a spoonful, her face a mask of concern. "Let me see. Oh my. It's so salty. Curious. We all tried it. It was like drinking seawater." My face went pale. I knew I hadn't used that much salt. I couldn't have. There was only one explanation. My eyes darted to Eleanor, but her face was a picture of righteous indignation. I had no proof. "This family doesn't want to die of kidney failure," she yelled, standing up and pointing a shaking finger at me. "Did you pour the entire box of salt in here? What were you thinking? Your husband and father-in-law work all day, and they come home to this? Is this how you take care of them?" I could only stammer, I seasoned it properly. I don't know why it's so salty." "You don't know?" she mocked. "Or did you just not bother to taste it? You are lazy and incompetent, and you won't even admit your mistakes." Leo, ever the peacemaker, tried to intervene. "It's okay, Mom. Margaret's pregnant. Her sense of taste might be off. If the soup is too salty, we can just eat the other dishes." Arthur and Eleanor fell silent, but the meal was ruined. The air was thick with unspoken accusations. Later, in our room, Leo tried to comfort me. "From now on, just cook with less salt, okay? And don't take it to heart. It was just a mistake. My parents are older. They're set in their ways. They get worked up over small things. I know it hurts you, and I'm sorry, but his gentle words felt like another betrayal. You're so naive, Leo, I snapped, the anger finally bubbling over. Do you think I'm an idiot? Do you think I would put that much salt in a soup and not notice? Her sense of taste might change with pregnancy, but not that much. Someone deliberately ruined that soup, Leo. Someone wanted it to be salty. He stared at me, his expression hardening. That's a ridiculous thing to say. Who else was in the house? What possible reason would anyone have to ruin a pot of soup? You're just upset, so you're making wild accusations. The reason, I said, my voice rising, is to humiliate me, to make me look bad in front of you and your father. Can't you see that? He had had enough. Don't be absurd, he shouted, his voice echoing in the small room. Are you accusing my mother? You two have your differences, but to think she would stoop to something so petty. You are the daughter-in-law. You should show some respect. We fell into a stony silence, turning our backs to each other in the cold bed. Outside the door, Eleanor smiled. It was working. Her plan was working perfectly. She was planting seeds of doubt in her son's mind. A little poison day after day. Soon, the love he felt for me would wither and die. And this was just the beginning. The salty soup was just the beginning. It became a pattern, a missing ingredient, a burnt roast, a load of laundry mysteriously stained. Each incident was small, trivial on its own, but together they formed a relentless campaign of psychological torture. I grew weary. The fight went out of me. What was the point? Arguing only made it worse. Leo didn't believe me, and Eleanor reveled in my frustration. So I stopped reacting. I became a ghost in her house, a silent, obedient servant. When she would launch into one of her tirades, her voice echoing through the silent rooms, I would simply stare at her with dead eyes, my face as blank and unresponsive as a block of wood. My silence infuriated her more than my arguments ever had. Look at her, she would screech to anyone who would listen. The face on that one, like a chopping block, as if someone stole something from her. I would just continue polishing the silverware, my expression unchanging. Seeing that she could no longer get a rise out of me, she took her campaign public. She would sit with Brenda and her other friends on the porch, her voice just loud enough for me to hear from inside. Oh, you have no idea, she'd sigh, her voice a theatrical lament. I try so hard. But this daughter-in-law of mine, she's like a curse, a walking storm cloud. Brenda would cluck her tongue in sympathy, but she seems so quiet, so harmless. Harmless? Eleanor would scoff. That's what she wants you to think. Underneath that mousy exterior, she's as stubborn as a mule, and the mouth on her, when she argues, she sounds like a broken radio. I have to be firm with her, you know. Otherwise, she'd walk all over me. And now that she knows she can't win, she just gives me the silent treatment, the disrespect. The daughters-in-law of today, they think they're the queens of the house. And Leo? Brenda would ask, leaning in for the juicy details. He doesn't say anything. My Leo is too soft, Eleanor would say, playing the long-suffering mother. And with the baby coming, we're all walking on eggshells. We don't want to upset her. It's for the sake of the child, you see. Well, Brenda would add, lowering her voice. Remember what the psychic said. That baby is a lucky star. Perhaps you should just put up with her. For now. Oh, I know, Eleanor would sigh. That's the only reason she's still in this house. A girl like that, an uneducated, low-class girl. She would never have set foot in this family otherwise. I still don't know what my son sees in her. They did an ultrasound, you know. It's a boy, a grandson. At least, that's what they say. I won't believe it until I see it with my own eyes. But for the sake of my bloodline, I suppose I have to tolerate her. Brenda, ever the pragmatist, would offer some advice. Have you tried just talking to her honestly? Telling her that her attitude is unacceptable. Maybe it's all a misunderstanding. Oh, I've tried, Eleanor would lie, dabbing at a dry eye. But she's like a stone wall. And then she would come back inside, her eyes landing on me as I mopped the floor, my belly now a swollen, heavy weight. Her face would twist with disgust. You know, she'd sneer, your face is always so sour. As if you're about to curse someone. You have such a heavy, unlucky presence. Don't let the neighbors see you looking like that. They'll think this house is haunted. I just pause in my mopping, straighten my aching back, and look at her. I'm pregnant, Mother. I'm tired and uncomfortable. When I feel better, I'll be sure to smile more. My calm, reasonable response would leave her speechless, and she'd storm off, thwarted again. One day, the devil herself came to visit, Chloe. She appeared on the doorstep, bright and bubbly as ever. The moment Eleanor saw her, her face lit up with genuine joy. Chloe, my dear, I've missed you so much. Oh, I've missed you too, Mrs. Vance, Chloe chirped, stepping into the house. I've been so busy with my teaching internship, but I'm finally done. How is everyone? I was in the kitchen, making tea. I heard their happy chatter, and my lip curled into a sneer. I arranged the cups on a tray and carried them into the living room, my movements slow and deliberate. Hello, Chloe, I said, my voice cool. Have some tea. Mother only serves this brand to our most honored guests. It's a bit bitter at first, but if you force yourself to drink it, you might find it sweet in the end. Chloe's smile tightened. She understood the double meaning. Why, Margaret, she said, her own voice dripping with false sweetness. That sounds like you're comparing tea to people, the ones you have to suffer through to get a reward. Some might say the reward isn't worth the punishment, but I think if you're starving, even a small reward can seem priceless. I stared directly into her eyes. Perhaps, but it's also possible to be beaten to death before you ever get to eat. In this life, Chloe, if you try to take what isn't yours, you will eventually get hurt. Her face flushed with anger. She was about to snap back when Eleanor intervened. Margaret, a guest is in our home. What is all this nonsensical rambling? Go to the kitchen and prepare a chicken. We will have Chloe for lunch. Yes, Mother, I said, my voice serene. I turned to Chloe. Please, make yourself at home. It's been so long since my mother-in-law has been this happy. Chloe forced a smile. Thank you. I wouldn't want to trouble you. She didn't follow me to the kitchen this time. Instead, she and Eleanor huddled together in the living room, their voices low and conspiratorial. You must hate her so much, Chloe whispered. She's just so vile. I don't know how Leo could have fallen for her little act. Eleanor seized the opportunity to vent. I want to throw her out, Chloe. I truly do. But the baby, my grandson, he is trapped inside her. If only you were the one carrying Leo's child. Chloe's eyes glittered. Then perhaps you should help me make that happen. Once she gives birth, you get rid of the mother and keep the child. If Leo agrees, I will come here. I will take her place. I will love Leo, and I will be a mother to that baby. Everyone wins. Eleanor's eyes widened. But how? You have to set a trap, Chloe whispered, her voice urgent. A trap she can't escape. Accuse her of stealing something, money, gold. It doesn't matter. But you have to plant the evidence, make it undeniable. When he sees that his wife is a common thief, he will be disgusted with her. Then, after the baby is born, you kick her out. Eleanor stared at Chloe, a slow, predatory smile spreading across her face. The plan was perfect, cruel, but perfect. The months crawled by. I was in my 8th month, heavy and exhausted. Eleanor, to my surprise, suddenly began to treat me with a strange, unnerving kindness. "Oh, Margaret, don't mop the floor," she'd say, taking the mop from my hands. "You're pregnant. You shouldn't be bending over like that. You go rest. I'll do it." I would stare at her, speechless, tears of confusion and suspicion welling in my eyes. I can do it, Mother. It's no trouble." But she would insist, taking over all the heavy housework. She would even ask me what I wanted to eat, a thing she had never done before. "Is there anything you're craving, dear? I'm going to the market. They say certain foods are good for the baby's health. Just tell me what you want." I was bewildered. This sudden change, this show of affection, it felt like a dream, a dangerous, beautiful dream. I told myself it was real. I told myself she had finally accepted me, that the coming baby had softened her heart. I promised myself that I would be the best daughter-in-law, that I would treat her and Arthur like my own parents. The atmosphere in the house lightened. Leo was overjoyed. "You see," he said to me one night, his voice filled with relief. "I told you. You're obedient. You don't argue. And now Mom understands. She's starting to love you. A happy family. It's all I ever wanted." I snuggled against him, letting myself believe it. "I know," I whispered. "I'm so happy. I was a fool, a happy, hopeful fool." The night I went into labor, it started with a dull ache in my lower back. Then, as I swung my legs out of bed, my water broke. "Leo," I cried out, my voice tight with panic. "Leo, it's time. The baby's coming." He shot up in bed, instantly awake. He saw the puddle on the floor and his face went white. "Mom! Dad!" he yelled, his voice cracking. "It's happening. Margaret's in labor." They came running, Arthur muttering. "But it's not due for another 2 weeks. Babies come when they want to come," Eleanor snapped. "Stop mumbling and call a taxi. I'll get the hospital bag." I gave birth to a healthy baby boy, 7 pounds, 2 ounces. The moment he was born, the first thing Eleanor did was check to make sure he was, in fact, a boy. Satisfied, she cradled him in her arms, her face transformed by a look of pure, possessive love. "Oh, my little grandson," she cooed. "You look just like your daddy." Arthur, too, was beaming, peering at the tiny, wrinkled face. My grandson, my heir. Only Leo seemed to remember me. He came to my side in the recovery room, taking my hand. "You were so brave, Maggie. Thank you." "He's perfect." I smiled, exhausted, but filled with a happiness so profound it erased all the pain. It was all worth it. For this, for him. My mother arrived later, her face etched with worry. "Leo only just called me," she said, rushing to my bedside. "Oh, my sweet girl, you must be exhausted. You need to rest, build up your strength." I just nodded, too tired to speak. When Eleanor came back into the room, she was all smiles and warmth, even to my mother. "Oh, hello, you're here. Don't be upset with Leo for calling you late." She went into labor in the middle of the night, I told him to wait until morning so as not to worry you. My mother, taken in by the act, smiled back. Oh, of course. Thank you for being so thoughtful. I'm just so happy that our families can be closer now. For the baby's sake. 20 days after our son, whom we named Benjamin, or Ben for short, was born, Eleanor put her real plan into motion. She had prepared a special herbal bath for me, something she claimed was a traditional remedy for new mothers. You go and take a nice, long bath, she said, her voice dripping with false concern. You deserve it. I'll watch little Ben for you. I was so touched by her kindness. Thank you, Mother. The moment I was in the bathroom, she moved. She took a small gold ring from her pocket, one of the rings I had given her for safekeeping, and carefully tucked it deep into the corner of Ben's diaper bag, a corner she knew I rarely used. It was done. The trap was set. A few days later, my mother called. How are you all doing? Is Leo free this weekend? I was hoping you could bring Ben to visit. Your father, he's not doing so well. He talks about his grandson all the time. I'll ask Mom, I said. I'm sure Mother Vance won't mind. Little did I know, Eleanor was listening on the extension in the other room. Perfect, she thought. The time has come. A few minutes later, her own phone rang. It was my mother. Eleanor put on her kindest, most grandmotherly voice. Oh, hello. What a lovely surprise. My mother explained the situation, her voice hesitant. I was just hoping, if it's not too much trouble, that they could come for a visit. My husband is so eager to see the baby. Eleanor's response was a masterpiece of feigned empathy. Oh, of course. But, I do worry. Little Ben is still so young, and Margaret is still recovering. But, you're right. A grandfather should see his grandson. I will tell them they can go. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, my mother said, her voice filled with relief. That evening at dinner, before I even had a chance to ask, Eleanor brought it up herself. Leo, this Sunday, you should take Margaret and the baby to visit her parents. Her father is not well, and he's asking for his grandson. Leo and I exchanged a surprised, happy look. Yes, Mom, he said. We will. On Sunday morning, as we were getting ready to leave, packing the last of Ben's things into the diaper bag, Eleanor stopped us at the door. Have a good time, she said, kissing Ben's forehead. But don't stay too long. Grandma will miss you. We won't, Mother, I said, smiling. Then, as if she had just remembered something, she clapped her hands together. Oh, I almost forgot. Let me get your gold back for you. You should wear it. I don't want your mother to wonder where it's all gone. Oh, no, that's not necessary, I said, surprised by the offer. My mother knows you're keeping it for me. She'll be glad it's safe. Nonsense, she insisted, already heading towards her bedroom. Let me get it. Leo tried to stop her. Mom, the taxi is almost here. We don't have time. But she was already gone. She returned a moment later, holding a red velvet jewelry box. Here you are, she said, handing it to me. All of it. Really, Mother? It's fine, I said, trying to hand it back. I don't need to wear it. Just take it, she said, opening the box. And then she gasped, her hand flying to her chest in a gesture of perfect, theatrical shock. Oh my God, a ring. A ring is missing. A ring is missing. The words hung in the air, sharp and glittering as shattered glass. Arthur rushed over. What are you talking about? Are you sure? You're always so careful. I'm telling you, it's gone, she wailed, her voice rising in panic. Look, Leo took the box, his brow furrowed with concern. He carefully laid each piece out on the hall table, his movements slow and deliberate. A necklace, 2 bracelets, 3 rings. He counted them again. "She's right," he said, his voice tight. "There's a ring missing." Eleanor's eyes were wide with a perfectly feigned horror. "But how? I keep this locked in the safe. I never touch it. How could it be gone? It couldn't have been a burglar. Nothing else is missing. We haven't had any strangers in the house." She turned to her husband, her eyes brimming with tears. "Arthur, you didn't take it, did you? Are you insane?" he snapped, his face flushing with indignation. "Why would I take it? Go on, check my things if you don't believe me." Leo, ever the voice of reason, tried to calm them down. "Mom, Dad, please, let's just think. It has to be in the house somewhere. It can't have just vanished." Eleanor sank onto the bottom step of the staircase, burying her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking with sobs. But through her fingers, she watched us. "Go on," she said, her voice muffled. "You two go. Take the baby to see his grandfather. I'll stay here and look for it." She looked up, her eyes landing on Leo. "Just double check all of Ben's things before you go. Make sure you have everything you need." It was the final, crucial step of her plan. A seemingly innocent suggestion from a distraught mother. Leo nodded, distracted. He picked up the diaper bag to do a final check. Diapers, wipes, a bottle, a spare onesie, and then his hand touched something small and hard, wrapped in a piece of tissue, tucked away in an inner pocket. He pulled it out, unwrapped it. It was the missing ring. For a long moment, no one spoke. The only sound was the frantic ticking of the grandfather clock in the hall. 4 pairs of eyes were fixed on the small circle of gold glinting in Leo's palm. He looked at me, his face a mask of utter confusion. His eyes were asking a question he couldn't bring himself to speak. "Why?" Arthur was the first to find his voice. He roared, his voice echoing in the sudden, terrible silence. "How did it get in there? Do rings grow legs now and walk by themselves?" I stared at the ring, my mind reeling. I knew. Of course, I knew. I knew exactly how it got there, but how could I prove it? I didn't put it there, I whispered, my voice a useless thread of sound. And that's when Eleanor launched into the performance of a lifetime. She sprang to her feet, her grief transforming into a righteous, terrible fury. You bitch," she hissed, her voice dripping with venom. "You worthless, gutter trash thief." She was standing over me now, as I knelt on the floor to adjust Ben's blanket, trapping me with the force of her rage. "I had my doubts about you," she spat, her voice rising to a shrill crescendo. "I never wanted you. But my foolish son," he insisted. "He was bewitched by you. You trapped him, didn't you? You got pregnant on purpose to force your way into this family. And I tried. For my son, for my grandchild. I swallowed my pride. I opened my heart to you. I tried to love you. And this is how you repay me. You steal from me, and then you try to frame me, to make me look like a senile old fool who misplaces things." She turned her tear-streaked face to Leo. "Do you see now? Do you see the snake you brought into our home? When I heard your father was sicker, I was going to give you money. I was going to tell you to take it to him, to help with his medical bills. And she does this. If you wanted the gold back for your family, why didn't you just ask? Why did you have to steal it? Oh, if we hadn't discovered this today, I would have been shamed forever." Leo just stood there, his face pale, his eyes wide with a confusion that was slowly, horribly hardening into suspicion. "Mom, calm down," he pleaded, his voice cracking. "Yelling isn't going to solve anything. The neighbors will hear." "Let them hear," she shrieked. "Let the whole world know what kind of daughter-in-law I have." "What am I supposed to do now, Leo? Your wife is a thief who tries to blame your own mother." Arthur stepped forward, his face a grim mask. "I have nothing more to say. Give her back the rest of the gold, and then get her out of my house. The baby. Ben is our blood. He stays here. We will not have a thief for a daughter-in-law. No." The word tore from my throat, raw and desperate. "I told you, I didn't take it." Eleanor just continued her theatrical sobbing. Arthur turned his back on me, a gesture of final, utter dismissal. I looked at Leo, my husband, the father of my child. His face was a battlefield of warring emotions, doubt, disappointment, and a sliver, just a tiny, heartbreaking sliver, of belief in his mother's story. And in that moment of his hesitation, my heart, which had been cracked and bruised for months, finally shattered into a million irreparable pieces. "You don't believe me, do you?" I asked, my voice flat, devoid of all emotion. He couldn't meet my eyes. And then a memory surfaced, a small, insignificant detail that I had dismissed at the time. A life raft in a raging sea. "I do have proof," I said, my voice suddenly clear and strong. They all froze, turning to look at me. "The day I took that herbal bath," I said, looking directly at Eleanor, "I saw you. I saw you sneak into the room and hide something in Ben's diaper bag." Her face paled slightly, but she quickly recovered. "You're delusional. You're just making things up to save yourself." "No," I said, my voice gaining strength with every word. "I thought it was strange. So I took out my phone and I filmed you." The color drained completely from Eleanor's face. Leo and Arthur stared at me, stunned. "I saw that it was the ring," I continued, my voice ringing with the clarity of truth. "And I knew you were setting a trap. I knew you would use it to accuse me of being a thief. So I waited. I waited for you to spring your trap, and now you have. So tell me, Leo, who is the one being framed here?" I pulled out my phone, my hands shaking but my purpose firm. I found the video and held it out to him. He took the phone. He watched the short, grainy clip. His own mother, her back to the camera, her movements furtive and quick, tucking the small, shiny object into the bag. There was no sound, but the image was undeniable. He looked up from the phone, his face a mixture of horror and disbelief. He looked at his mother. "Mom," he whispered, his voice cracking. "How could you?" Eleanor snatched the phone from his hand. She saw the evidence, knew she was caught. The mask of the victim fell away, revealing the snarling, hateful face beneath. "So what?" she spat, her voice venomous. "So what if I did? It's because I hate her. All I ever wanted was my grandson. Now that you know, I'll say it to your face. If you love me, you will get rid of her. Let her go back to whatever gutter she crawled out of. I will raise your son, and I will find you a worthy wife." "You're insane," Leo shouted, his voice finally breaking free from the stupor of shock. "You're completely insane. We had a family. We were trying to be happy. Why did you have to destroy everything?" He turned to me, his eyes filled with a desperate, pleading grief. "Maggie, we can leave. We'll get our own place. I'm so sorry. I never imagined she would do something like this. But it was too late. The damage was done. The trust, the foundation of everything we had been pulverized." "No," I said, my voice calm but dead. "I don't need you to rescue me now. the moment you hesitated, the moment you looked at me with doubt in your eyes. Everything was over. My heart died in that moment, Leo. I turned to Eleanor, my voice ringing with a strength I didn't know I possessed. This baby is mine. I carried him. I gave birth to him. And I will never, ever let him out of my sight. No one has the right to take him from me. Arthur, seeing his prize about to be snatched away, lunged for the baby. He is my grandson. Give him to me. But the fierce, primal strength of a mother protecting her child surged through me. I held Ben tight with one arm and shoved my father-in-law back with the other. He is a newborn baby, I cried, my voice shaking with rage. He is not even a month old. Are you so cruel that you would rip him away from his mother? The law, morality, basic human decency, none of them are on your side. And I don't think you have the stomach for a fight you know you can't win. He froze, stunned by my ferocity. At that moment, the taxi driver, who had been waiting patiently at the gate, honked his horn and called out, "Hey, you folks ready to go?" The sound broke the spell. I turned to Leo, my voice clipped and businesslike. "Get the diaper bag." He did as he was told, a dazed automaton. As I walked towards the door, I swept the jewelry box off the table and into the bag. Eleanor, seeing her gold and her grandson disappearing, let out a final, desperate screech. "You insolent girl, who said you could take my grandson and that gold? Give it back." I paused at the door and looked back at her, a cold, hard smile on my lips. "I'm only taking back what belongs to me." And with that, I stepped into the waiting taxi, leaving behind the ruins of my marriage. The car pulled away, and in the rearview mirror, I could see them. Eleanor, screaming in impotent rage. Arthur, standing stiff with fury. And Leo, my Leo, just watching, his face a mask of utter devastation, as his entire world drove away. He turned on his mother, his voice a low, heartbroken whisper. "Why? Why did you do it? You've destroyed my family. Are you happy now?" "I did it for you," she insisted, her voice shrill. "To find you a better wife, to give your son a better mother, a better future." "You're crazy," he choked out, the words barely audible. And then he turned and walked out of the house, away from her, away from everything. He got on his motorcycle and just drove. He ended up at the same dingy bar where Chloe had tried to trap him. 10 beers, he rasped to the bartender, and some peanuts. He drank them one after another, fast and furious, trying to drown the images in his head. My face, when he had doubted me. Ben, my tiny, perfect son, being carried away from him. His mother's twisted, triumphant face. He was halfway through his 5th beer when a familiar voice purred in his ear. "Leo, what are you doing here?" And all alone. It was Chloe. She slid into the booth opposite him, her face a perfect mask of concern. He just grunted, not looking at her. "It's nothing." "It doesn't look like nothing," she said, her voice soft and sympathetic. "You can tell me. Maybe I can help." "It's family stuff," he slurred, the alcohol hitting him hard. "You can't help. I can't even help." "Well," she said, placing her hand on his arm, "I can at least sit with you." He didn't object. He just kept drinking. By the time he'd finished the 10th beer, he was completely gone, drunk, oblivious. Chloe smiled. Her first plan had been thwarted, but fate had just handed her a second, even better, opportunity. She paid the bill, helped him stumble out to a taxi, and gave the driver the address of a cheap motel on the edge of town. As she laid his unconscious body on the lumpy mattress, a thrill of victory shot through her. People are weak. They are ruled by their appetites, their emotions. And she, Chloe, was a master at exploiting those weaknesses. This time, there would be no last-minute phone calls to save him. She slowly, deliberately undressed him. Then she took off her own clothes and slid into the bed beside him, wrapping her arms around his warm, pliant body. She closed her eyes and smiled. The next morning, Leo woke up to a living nightmare. A strange room, a pounding headache, and Chloe, naked, sleeping beside him. He shot out of bed, his heart hammering against his ribs, his mind a panicked blur. She stirred, pulling the thin sheet up to cover herself, and began to cry. Soft, pitiful sobs. "I'm sorry," he stammered, grabbing his clothes. I didn't mean. I was drunk." "It's okay," she sniffled, playing the part of the innocent victim to perfection. "It was my fault too. I'm a girl. I should have been more careful." He threw her clothes at her. "Get dressed. And please, don't tell anyone about this. Let's just bury this. For everyone's sake." She didn't answer. She just kept crying. I went back to my parents' house. I didn't tell them what had happened. How could I? My father was so frail, the shock would have killed him. My mother would have been consumed with guilt and worry. So, I lied. "Leo's just so busy at the clinic," I'd say when they asked why he hadn't come with me. "He'll come next weekend." But inside, I was a wreck. The anger that had sustained me during that final confrontation had evaporated, leaving behind a cold, heavy stone of grief. For days, I barely spoke. I didn't answer his calls. I couldn't, but I read his texts. They were a torrent of apologies, pleas, and promises. He begged for my forgiveness. He swore he would get us our own place, that we would never have to see his mother again. He was in agony, and then one message cut through my wall of silence. "I miss you and Ben so much. I'm coming to see you tomorrow morning. I need to see my son." I didn't reply, but a tiny, treacherous part of my heart fluttered with hope. The next morning, I woke with a sense of nervous anticipation. I didn't tell my parents he was coming, just in case he didn't show. But just after sunrise, I heard the familiar rumble of his motorcycle coming up the lane. My mother, already outside feeding the chickens, saw him first. Her face broke into a wide, relieved smile. "Leo, you're here. Why didn't you tell us you were coming? Your father-in-law has been asking for you." She shooed him towards the house. Come in, rest a while. I'll make a nice lunch." He saw that she knew nothing of the disaster that had unfolded, and a wave of relief washed over him. I had left him away back in. He played along, his voice full of a forced cheerfulness. "I wanted to surprise everyone, Mom," he said, calling her that for the first time. "Mostly, I couldn't stand being away from Margaret and Ben any longer." Of course, she said, beaming. "A baby just makes a husband and wife closer. Go on, go in and see them." He found me in the bedroom, sitting by the window, rocking Ben in my arms. I didn't turn around when he entered. He approached cautiously, his voice soft. He didn't try to talk to me first. He went straight to the baby. "Hey, little guy," he whispered, gently stroking Ben's soft cheek. "Daddy missed you so much. We'll go home soon, okay?" The three of us, my mother, sensing we needed to be alone, quietly busied herself in the kitchen. Leo sat on the edge of the bed, his voice a low, pleading murmur. "You're still angry with me, aren't you? I know I messed up. I know I was wrong. From now on, I will be the rock you and Ben can lean on. I will trust you completely. I will not be weak anymore. Please, Maggie." Just give me one more chance. A part of me, the part that still loved him so desperately, wanted to melt into his arms. But the wound was too deep, too fresh. Words are easy, Leo, I said, my voice still cold. If you had stood by me from the beginning, none of this would have happened. I don't know who to blame more. Your mother for her cruelty, or you for your weakness. I know, he said, his voice thick with shame. And I'm so sorry. Let me make it up to you. We'll get our own place. I've already been looking at apartments in town, close to the clinic. You can stay home with Ben, or we could open a little shop for you, something to keep you busy. It will be hard at first, but we'll manage. I'll work harder. I'll do anything. Just let me be your husband again. Let me be a father to our son. I was silent for a long time. Please, Maggie, he begged, his voice breaking. If not for me, then for Ben. I finally looked at him and saw the genuine remorse, the desperate love in his eyes. I need time, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I need time to think. That evening, after he had gone, my mother came to me. She had overheard snippets of our conversation, and she knew something was deeply wrong. Tell me what happened, she said, her voice gentle but firm. What did that boy do to you? The whole story came tumbling out. The trap, the accusation, Leo's hesitation. Her face grew harder and more sorrowful with every word. When I was finished, she pulled me into her arms. That woman is a monster, she whispered, her voice shaking with a quiet rage. I never imagined she could be so evil. But, Margaret, Leo is not his mother. He made a mistake, a terrible one, but he wants to fix it. He wants to leave that house, to build a life with you. That is what matters. In-laws. They are not forever. Your husband, your family, that is what is most important. But he didn't trust me, Mom, I cried. That's what I can't get over. My own husband didn't believe me. If something like this happens again, will he stand by me then? She stroked my hair. I believe he has learned his lesson. He was in an impossible position, a mother on one side, a wife on the other. He was under so much pressure. Give him time, my love, and give your own heart time to heal. The anger will soften, and then you will know what to do. And so, I stayed. I stayed in the quiet safety of my parents' home, letting time do its work, unaware that a new, more insidious storm was gathering on the horizon. Under pressure from his parents, who wanted only their grandson, not the boy's unfit mother, Leo finally agreed to a compromise. He would rent a small apartment for us, and he would support us, but it would be a trial separation. The apartment was small, cramped, but it was ours. It was a haven. For the first month, it was peaceful. I stayed home with Ben, who was a happy, easy baby. Leo went to work, and in the evenings, we were a family. For the first time, I felt a flicker of real hope, but Leo was miserable. He felt torn, disloyal. He was a son, and he was failing in his duty. One day, at the clinic, he received a call. It was Chloe. Leo, I know I shouldn't be calling, but your mother is sick. She's been sick for a week. What? He said, his heart lurching. How sick? I don't know. She won't see a doctor. She just lies in bed. If you're worried about your wife, you could come alone. Don't tell her. I just thought you should know. It's your decision. He hung up, his mind in turmoil. He decided to leave work an hour early. He would go see his mother, then go home to me at the usual time. A small, harmless lie. He bought a basket of fruit and went to his parents' house. The place felt sad, empty. Leo? His mother's voice was a weak croak from the bedroom. Is that you, my son? He rushed to her side. She looked pale, frail. Mom, what's wrong? Why didn't you call me? I didn't want to bother you, she whispered, clutching his hand. I miss you so much. Are you well? You look thinner. Are you working too hard? I'm fine. Mom, his father came in, his shoulders slumped. Leo, you're here, your mother. She's been like this ever since you left. We're so sad, son. But we understand. You have to take care of yourselves, Leo said, his voice thick with guilt. I feel so guilty. I'm a terrible son. No, Arthur said, patting his shoulder. Chloe has been a godsend. She comes every day. She cooks, she cleans. A real comfort. Just then, Chloe herself appeared in the doorway. Oh, Mr. Vance, Leo, dinner is ready. He tried to leave, but they insisted he stay. He hadn't had a meal with his parents in over a month. He couldn't refuse. The dinner was a carefully staged performance. Arthur and Eleanor sat on one side of the table. Leo and Chloe sat on the other. It looked, for all the world, like a happy family. You know, Eleanor sighed, looking from Leo to Chloe. If only the four of us could really be a family. It would be wonderful, Arthur agreed, nodding. Look at them. They make such a handsome couple. He's a medical professional, she's a teacher. A stable, respectable match. If they were to marry, their lives would be blessed with prosperity and happiness. Chloe blushed prettily. Leo just smiled uncomfortably. Dad, please, I'm a married man. After dinner, Eleanor continued her emotional assault. You must take care of yourself, son. I worry about you out there. I wish you would come home. Only then would I have peace of mind. I'm fine, Mom. But you need to get better. Seeing you like this breaks my heart. Then come home, she begged, her eyes filling with tears. Move back in with us. I can't do that without Margaret and Ben. No, her voice was suddenly sharp, harsh. I only want you and my grandson. I will not have that woman, in my house. If you want me to live, to be healthy, you will divorce her. Divorce her, and I will find you a proper wife. No matter what he said, she wouldn't budge. She just wept, and his heart twisted with a guilt so profound it felt like a physical illness. He went home late that night. He had missed my calls. I was waiting for him, sick with worry. Leo, where have you been? I was so worried. I called and you didn't answer. The guilt, the pressure, the sheer emotional exhaustion of the day finally made him snap. Do I have to ask your permission for everything I do now? He growled. Do I need to report my every move to you? No, I cried, stung by his harsh tone. It's just, I was worried about you. That's all. Well, stop worrying, he shouted. I'm tired. I'm tired of all of this. You're tired? What about me? Am I not tired? To be married into a family that treats me like dirt. To be framed by my own mother-in-law. Just stop it, he roared. She is my mother. Can't you show a little respect? You argue with everything she says because she's a monster. And you are a coward. The fight was ugly, vicious. We threw words at each other like stones, words that could never be unsaid. Finally, he grabbed his keys and stormed out, leaving me alone with our sleeping son in the dead of night. He drove around aimlessly for a while, and then, inevitably, he ended up back at his parents' house. Eleanor opened the door, her face a mask of concern. "Leo, what are you doing here so late?" "I had a fight with Margaret," he mumbled, pushing past her. "I just need a place to sleep tonight." "A fight?" she said, her voice dripping with sympathy. "Oh, that terrible woman. She insulted you, didn't she? And now you're wandering the streets in the middle of the night. I'll give her a piece of my mind." "Just leave it, Mom," he said, his voice weary. "I'm going to bed." He walked into his old bedroom and froze. There was someone in his bed. He flipped on the light. It was Chloe. She was wearing a flimsy silk nightgown. She sat up, blinking in the sudden light, a look of innocent confusion on her face. "Leo? What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" he asked, stunned. "Your mother. She's been so sick," she explained, her voice a soft whisper. "I've been staying here to help. This house needs a woman's touch, you know. If I wasn't here, who would take care of her?" Her words, so reasonable, so kind, disarmed him. "Thank you, Chloe," he said, his voice soft. "That's very good of you." He looked at her, so gentle, so pliant, and he thought of me, my anger, my accusations. His head ached. She saw her chance. She slid out of the bed and came to him, her movements slow and seductive. She wrapped her arms around his neck. "You look so tired," she purred, kissing his neck. "Let me help you." "Relax." "No," he said, trying to pull away. I'm not in the right state of mind." "Why not?" she whispered, her hand sliding down his chest. "Let go of your stress. We've done this before, remember?" She kissed him, her mouth hot and demanding. Her hands moved lower, and he felt a surge of pure, physical desire, a feeling he had suppressed for months. "Take me, Leo," she whispered. "I won't regret it." And he did. He, a man whose wife and infant son were waiting for him in a lonely apartment, gave in. He was tired, he was weak, and he was hungry. And she was there. The next morning, I woke up alone. I had cried myself to sleep, but with the new day came a new resolve. I would fix this. I had to. I sent him a text. "I'm sorry about last night. Please come home." A few minutes later, a reply came, but it wasn't from him. It was from an unknown number. "He slept with me last night. He slept with me many times since you got married. You are a pathetic fool." And then, a picture of Leo and Chloe, tangled together in the sheets of his childhood bed. The world went white. The phone slipped from my hand and clattered to the floor. The man I loved, the father of my child, he hadn't just failed to protect me, he had betrayed me in the most fundamental, most brutal way possible. A few hours later, there was a knock at the door. It was Eleanor. She looked triumphant. She didn't waste time with pleasantries. She handed me a folded piece of paper. "Sign this." It was a divorce petition. "Ben will stay with you," she said, her voice cold and businesslike. "I will not fight you for him. Just sign the papers." There was nothing left to fight for, no hope left to cling to. I took the pen she offered and signed my name. My life with Leo Vance was over. "I've signed it," I said, my voice as empty as the piece of paper in my hand. "You can go now." As she turned to leave, a final, parting shot hanging on her lips, I stopped her. "One more thing," I said, my voice suddenly sharp. She turned, her eyes narrowed. "What now?" "From this day forward," she said, her voice dripping with condescension, "you will not bother my son." A cold, bitter laugh escaped my lips. "Oh, I will be bothering your son, Mrs. Vance. I can promise you that." "What is that supposed to mean?" she snapped. "The divorce is settled. You have no reason to contact him." "You think I want him back?" I asked, my voice incredulous. "You think I have any feeling left for that spineless creature you call a son?" "No. The next time I see him, it will be to settle a score." "Don't you dare make trouble," she hissed, her eyes flashing with a new kind of fear, "or you will regret it." She hurried away then, as if my newfound strength might be contagious. The moment the door closed behind her, the facade crumbled. I sank to the floor, my arms wrapped around my sleeping son, and wept. From that day on, Leo stayed with his parents. He never came back to the apartment. He never tried to see his son. He was once again the obedient boy, coddled and controlled. Eleanor and Chloe fussed over him, treating him like a king. "Leo, darling, you're home from work," Eleanor would coo. "Oh, you look tired, honey," Chloe would add. "Go take a shower. I'll get your clothes." He let them infantilize him, let them erase me and his son from his life. It was easier that way. One evening at dinner, Eleanor made a grand announcement, her voice ringing with triumph. "Arthur, my dear, we have wonderful news. Chloe is pregnant. 5 weeks. We're going to have another grandchild." "Wonderful," Arthur boomed. "We must start planning the wedding at once. I'll consult the calendar for an auspicious day." Leo, for his part, just looked tired. "Can we just slow down? We should wait until my divorce from Margaret is finalized." Chloe, ever the strategist, jumped in. "Well, then, you should go to the courthouse tomorrow. Slip them a little extra money. They can expedite the paperwork." "An excellent idea," Eleanor agreed. "Go tomorrow, both of you. There's no point in delaying." Leo just sighed, a weary, defeated sound. "Fine. I don't know when he became this person. This weak, pathetic man who let his mother and his mistress run his life. A man who could abandon his wife and 3-month-old son without a backward glance. The divorce was a quiet, bureaucratic affair. A piece of paper that officially declared my greatest love a failure. I didn't dare go home to my parents. I couldn't face their questions, their pity. So, I stayed in the small, lonely apartment, my world shrinking to the 4 walls and the tiny, demanding creature in my arms. My savings dwindled. Ben was a colicky baby. He cried and cried and cried. He cried all night, every night. I walked the floors with him, my body aching with a fatigue so deep it felt like it had settled in my bones. My milk started to dry up from the stress and lack of sleep. Ben's cries became more frantic, more desperate. He was hungry. The sound of his constant, piercing wails became the soundtrack to my life. My neighbors started to complain. They didn't know my story. They just heard a crying baby and an exhausted, unresponsive mother. And then, a stranger entered my life. He lived in the house next door, a large, quiet house that shared a wall with my apartment building. His name was Harold. He was an orphan, he told me later, who had inherited the house from the elderly couple who had raised him. He lived alone. The baby's crying woke him up at night. He'd come out onto his balcony, which overlooked my small window, and he'd listen. He heard the crying, but he never heard a mother's comforting voice. He saw the light on, but he never saw a figure pacing with the child. He started to worry. One afternoon, my neighbor, a kind woman who had been buying my groceries for me, had to go out of town. I was out of formula. I was out of everything. I sat on the front step of the apartment building, holding my screaming son, my mind a complete and utter blank. I didn't know what to do. That's when Harold jumped the wall. He landed softly on the grass and approached me cautiously, as if I were a frightened animal. "Hey," he said gently. the baby. He's been crying a lot. I know, I whispered, my voice hoarse from lack of use. Is he hungry? Maybe he's not getting enough milk? I don't have any money, I said, the words a shameful confession. I can't afford formula. He didn't judge. He didn't pity. He just acted. Here, he said, holding out his arms. Let me try. Hesitantly, I handed him my son, and a miracle happened. The moment Ben was in Harold's strong, steady arms, he stopped crying. He just stared up at this strange new face, his own face, a mask of solemn curiosity. Harold looked at me, a kind, gentle smile on his face. See? He just needed a new audience. What's his dad's name? It's Ben, I said, answering the wrong question. He didn't press. He just looked down at the baby in his arms. So, where is his other parent? Why are you all alone? He left us, I said, the words flat and hard. He's getting remarried. Harold's kind face hardened for a moment. Well, he said, his voice soft. Then he is a fool. He looked back down at Ben. You have to be strong, you know. For him, you look exhausted. A tired mother has no milk. Without another word, he handed Ben back to me, jumped back over the wall, and disappeared. He returned 20 minutes later, his arms full of grocery bags, formula, diapers, and a pork knuckle for me to make soup with. Thank you, I whispered, my eyes filling with tears. I can pay you back. I promise. It's a gift, he said, his voice firm. For Ben. He looked at me, his gaze direct and serious. What's your name? Margaret. I'm Harold. Now, while the little guy is sleeping, you go make yourself some soup. You need to eat. And if he's still not getting enough from you, give him the formula. A full baby is a happy baby. I, for one, would appreciate a full night's sleep. I'm sorry, I said, ashamed. Don't be, he said, his voice softening. You've been through a lot. Things will get better. If you need anything, you let me know, okay? And from that day on, Harold became our guardian angel. He worked during the day, but at night, I would see his light on, see his figure on the balcony, watching over us. If Ben started to cry and I couldn't soothe him, Harold would appear at my door, having climbed the wall again. He would take Ben, and the baby would instantly quiet down. The other tenants in the building started to whisper, assuming he was the father, the one who had come back. He had a magic touch. My mother, who hadn't heard from me in weeks, finally grew so worried that she came to the apartment. The moment she saw me, her face fell. I was so thin, so pale. Margaret, why haven't you been answering my calls? Ben's been fussy. I lied. I haven't had a minute to myself. She took the baby from me, her face a mixture of love and concern. Oh, my little grandson, I've missed you so much. She didn't believe my stories about Leo being busy at work. She could see the truth in my eyes, in the hollows of my cheeks. Tell me what happened, she demanded, her voice leaving no room for argument. And so, I told her. The divorce, the betrayal, everything. That family, she said, her voice shaking with a cold, quiet rage. They are heartless. They will face a reckoning one day. And you? Why didn't you come home? Why did you stay here, all alone? I was ashamed, I whispered, and Dad. I didn't want him to know. It would break his heart. I looked at her, my eyes pleading. I'm out of money, Mom. I have some here, she said, pressing a wad of bills into my hand. I'll sell some more chickens, and you are coming home, both of you. I will not let you suffer like this for one more day, but I refused. Not yet, Mom, Let Dad get a little stronger. Then I'll come home. I promise." She finally agreed, and for the next few months, she would visit as often as she could, bringing food and money and a mother's boundless, unconditional love. And Harold was always there, a quiet, steady presence in the chaos of my life. The landlady even started yelling at him. "You there. Why are you always climbing my wall? If you want to see them so much, why don't you just move them into your big, empty house? It would be easier for everyone." Harold would just blush and mumble an apology. But one day, he took her seriously. He came to my door with a bag of groceries and a shy, nervous look on his face. "Ben's napping," I said, letting him in. "Good," he said. He put the groceries on the counter. I bought you some food." "Harold, you have to let me pay you," I insisted. "It's too much." "Forget it," he said, not meeting my eyes. "Or, if you really can't pay me back, you could just give me Ben." I stared at him, confused. "I'll raise him as my own," he said, a faint, hopeful smile on his face. I'll even take his mother, too." My heart stopped. I would be expensive to keep," I stammered, my cheeks flushing. "I can afford it," he said, his voice suddenly serious. Why don't both of you come and live with me? The landlady is threatening to break my legs if I climb that wall one more time." We both stood there, in the middle of my tiny, cramped kitchen, blushing like teenagers. I have to go," he said suddenly, backing towards the door. "I have work to do." After he left, I heard the landlady's voice from the courtyard. "Hey, you! Next time, use the gate. If I see you on that wall again, I swear I'll get a baseball bat." "I'm working on it, ma'am," he called back. "Soon, you won't have to see me on that wall ever again." 7 months after my divorce, I finally went home. My father, against all odds, had rallied. The news of what had happened to me, instead of breaking him, had filled him with a fierce, protective anger. He insisted that my mother bring me and his grandson home. The day I moved out, Harold came to my parents' house. He asked for their permission to take care of me and Ben. My parents, wise and kind, told him that it was my decision to make, and I said yes. I said yes to this quiet, gentle man who had climbed a wall to save me, who had loved my son as his own from the moment he held him, who had shown me what real strength, real kindness, and real love looked like. He had been an orphan himself, and the idea of family was a precious, sacred thing to him. "I can't promise you forever," he told me once, his voice thick with emotion. "The future is a mystery. But I can promise you this. I will love you with my whole heart, and I will give you everything I have." The door to my old life had closed, violently and irrevocably, but a new one had opened, and on the other side was peace. Our little house was filled with laughter. Harold taught Ben how to walk. "That's it, buddy. 1 step, 2 steps. You're doing it." I would be in the kitchen with my mother, the familiar, comforting rhythm of our movements, a soothing balm to my soul. "Harold is a good man," she said one day, her voice soft. "That boy, he was born an orphan, but he understands more about family than most. And Ben adores him." "I know," I said, my heart full. "He's afraid, you know. He's afraid that one day Ben and I will leave him. He has nightmares about it. He is a man who loves deeply," my mother said, smiling. "And you, my daughter, you deserve that." It was during one of those peaceful afternoons that my mother asked, "Did you hear the news about the Vances?" "No," I said, my voice neutral. What news? Leo, she said, her voice dropping. He's been arrested. He's in jail. I froze, a knife halfway through slicing a carrot. Arrested? For what? He stabbed her, my mother said, her voice grim. Chloe. He stabbed her 3 times. She's in the hospital. They don't know if she's going to make it. The news was so shocking, so violent, that I couldn't process it. But why? The baby, my mother explained. The baby Chloe had. It wasn't his. It was another man's. When he found out, he snapped. She shook her head, a look of sad wonder on her face. His son is in jail. His daughter-in-law is dying. Arthur had a stroke when he heard the news. He's paralyzed. And Eleanor, they say she just wanders the house, weeping. Completely lost her mind. It's a tragedy. Yes, I said, my voice a whisper. It is. Life is a funny thing, my mother said, her voice full of a weary wisdom. That woman, she did so many wicked things. And now her world has come crashing down around her. She loved that Chloe girl so much, and in the end, Chloe was the one who destroyed her. I was silent for a long moment, the ghosts of the past swirling around me. The pain, the humiliation, the heartbreak. It all felt like another lifetime. Mom? A voice called from the living room. It was Harold. Honey, come quick. Ben's walking. He's really walking. My mother and I rushed into the living room. And there he was. My son, my beautiful, resilient son, taking his first shaky, triumphant steps into the waiting arms of the man who had chosen to be his father. The room was filled with cheers, with laughter, with the pure, unadulterated joy of a family. My family, I had found my happy ending. Not the one I had dreamed of, but a better one, a real one.